Going live. Going live. Early stream jump scare.
Boo!
Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is the 24th of August. Oh, my God. How is it the end of August? This isn't a bit, just... It's September soon.
Yes. The month that you must nap through.
Possibly. I would make jokes about that. However, apparently the singer of Blink 182 despises it. It is Blink 182, isn't it? Wake Me Up When November Ends.
No, it's Green Day.
That's the one, Green Day. Yeah, apparently he despises that meme because that song is about him grieving for when his dad died. When everyone makes memes about that, he's just like, yeah, that's actually just reminding me of a very traumatic part of my life, and I'd rather people don't make jokes about it.
Okay.
But yeah, just to ruin your fun there.
I don't know, to sound like a massive dick.
Yeah.
You don't really get to control how people enjoy your content.
Yeah. Understandable.
You know, you can only control how it's portrayed and edited. As soon as it reaches the viewer, it's up to them to enjoy it or not. So it sucks, especially when you become world famous.
Yeah.
Like me, the internet sensation.
Cara dog. Anyway, hello everyone. How are we doing? Starting off right, aren't we? Yes. Cool. We have our show for you today. Well, we've got various things to do. We were going to be fixing Caradog's PC. However, because this is the greatest repair channel on YouTube, it was fixed by merely the threat of being featured on the podcast.
Basically.
Yeah. We made a plan to fix it, and then Caradog DM'd me at like 11 o'clock last night. It was just like, so my computer's working again. So yeah, I hope you had something else up your sleeve. And I'm like, it's a good thing I don't schedule these things until like an hour before we go live, isn't it?
It's a good job we don't have any plans.
Yeah. Work or else.
But it's just the fact that it was having absolute kittens for like 2 days.
Yeah, based on the pictures you were sending me, like you were sending me pictures of your monitor, I'm like, oh wow, that's not happy. That's
right. It couldn't even actually stop error properly.
Yeah.
It was like a stop error here with garble.
Yeah.
And stuff, and it was just like
the kittens were having kittens kind of thing. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It was looking pretty savage. But yeah. So apparently it's come good. It is here nonetheless because tomorrow Caradog and I are having a Doom race.
Yes.
Which we planned like months ago.
Yeah,
and you were just like, oh, let's do this on the 28th of August. I'm just like, sure, okay. I don't know why you picked that date that's like 2 months away, but I guess you're a busy boy.
No, because we said, oh, we'll do it on the next bank holiday.
Oh, it's because bank holiday.
Yeah, because it's a bank holiday. So obviously I can be here
until
late as we want because I'm off on the Monday.
Imagine working Mondays. Yeah.
Working in general.
Wow, that was a pretty good clapback, so fair enough. I kind of deserve that.
No, I was just talking about me.
Yeah. Yeah, mood.
I have been in the office for at least 36 hours this week.
Well done.
I have done some work.
Yeah, you've thought about working, yeah. So well, at any rate, tomorrow we're having a Doom race, and so we're neither of us have played Doom 2016 for a hot minute. I want to play Doom 2016 again so I can play Doom Eternal. And at some point we were like, let's have a race. I can't remember whose idea it was, possibly yours.
Yeah, we were half talking about just stuff, we should co-stream stuff, and we're just like, we've both played Doom 2016 and we both enjoyed it, and that's an easy game to stream because there's lots happening.
Yeah.
So it's an easy stream to dual stream.
Yeah, so TLDR, tomorrow we're going to have a race. It's going to be, I guess we're doing it at the usual time for me, which would be 7 p.m. Yeah. So we're doing it 7 p.m. UK time. And,
although possibly not the usual time for you because we'll be starting at 7 p.m.
I start on time, like within 5 minutes. So yeah, shut up. Shut up. Anyway, we're having a
Shut up in your face.
we're having a Doom race at 7 p.m. tomorrow, so we're kind of setting up for that. Caradog's got his PC in the shop already. We're both going to be in the shop. We're probably going to we're kind of going to brainstorm ideas for the tech setup for it today as well. So we've got Caradog's PC. We're going to fit some new cables to that and just do some maintenance while it's in because he's bringing it in anyway. And Caradog's bought a very fancy new monitor that we're going to unbox and have a look at. So if people are saying, are we looking at the LG? Yes, we're going to look at the LG. So yes, as per usual, no fault found, charge him 50 quid. Yeah.
Yes. So I was saying about it will break moments before the stream tomorrow. I was just like, that's why there's also the other computer.
I was going to say
we
should actually make sure that we've got Steam and Doom installed on that PC, and possibly just any tech setup that we're expecting yours to have. Yeah.
I've got all of my Steam games on here and I've been playing them off of this for this week.
Yeah.
And it has been amazing. It's been such an amazing experience, just kind of the idea of going...
Just your Steam
2
library.
2 terabyte Steam library appears.
Yeah.
Gone. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. That's for years. Like, for years with iMacs, because iMacs are such a pain in the ass to retrofit SSDs to, a lot of people would just run external SSDs, which was an idea that I heavily rebelled against. I'm like, no, do not boot from an external drive. That's terrible. But
no.
Well, even
no.
Well, even with USB 3 Type C now, it's just like that's not an awful idea.
I mean, it kind of is.
Is it still terrible to boot from then?
But no, I'm thinking more just a case of you unplug the wrong drive.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
That's more my aversion. I'm just like, no. I want the media I'm booted from to be actually like screwed in, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything else.
Well, I mentioned it to you the other week. That I want to entertain the idea of having the two main SSDs in my PC at home, so my boot drive and my boot drive and my data drive. I want to entertain the idea of putting those on a 16-lane PCI Express card, so I can just pull that card out and plug it into another system and just boot up. Because obviously, like, you would say, well, it's M.2, just pull the M.2 drive out. It's like, yeah, but M.2s are kind of a pain in the ass to take out of most systems.
Shockingly awkward.
Yeah, because at best, you've got to unscrew a heatsink, and if you're unlucky, you've got to take the graphics card out and remove the PCH cover to take off that. If you've got an Asus or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got it on a PCI Express card, you can literally just side panel off, thumb screw, pull the PCI card out, plug it into another system. And I'm kind of tempted to run that setup, so I could just pull my SSDs out of my PC at home, plug them into the Lianli, and be like, this is my computer now.
I don't know about the booting off of the Express cards.
Yeah.
Just because I know that...
I mean, why not?
I know that when PCI Express SSDs were new, it was a whole bag of worms.
How's it any different from NVMe? Because that's just PCI Express.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I know when they were new, it was a whole different bag of worms.
Yeah.
And obviously, I presume we fixed that with NVMe drives
that's
via the M.2 because that's all they are.
Yeah.
But it's just a case where I'm just like, I don't know if that's still...
While we're chatting today, I might just jump on Amazon, just start browsing and see if I can find a candidate card for that. Because as I say,
I think the other thing as
I want a card that has 2 M.2 slots on it.
Yeah.
And, how many lanes does it need to be? Will an 8X card be enough?
Yeah, because
be
each
2
SSD
4X,
would be 4.
Yeah.
But the other thing is obviously you need both motherboards to support bifurcation.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other thing with having 2 SSDs on a single card is the slot on the board.
So how rare is that on typical gaming motherboards these days, I wonder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Reasonably.
Yeah.
The answer, the shortest answer would be to look at your motherboard and go, do I have bifurcation options?
Yeah.
If you don't, then no.
Yeah.
It's a non-starter with your current computers.
Because if I were to do this, it would have to be... I mean, my only other option would be to move to a single M.2 drive solution, which I don't really want to do because it requires buying an expensive high-capacity. I'd have to buy like a 4 terabyte NVMe drive, and that's starting to get pricey. I currently run a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte drive. And with my 2 terabyte drive being Windows and my Steam library, that's the expendable one that can get nuked without question. At the cost of having to download all my games again, and then the 1 terabyte one is my data drive, which has all of my files on, which need to be backed up. So that means that I don't need to actually back up C drive because everything on it is assumed expendable. So yeah, which is ironic because that's the opposite to how you set up other people's computers. You run Windows and their games drive, but I'm like, well, it actually makes more sense to have your Steam library on C drive, and then you just don't have to then you're not backing up your Steam library kind of thing. But I'm jumping topics now.
Yeah, I think the other consideration as well is just actually decent enclosures. Just because obviously if you get an actually
coming back
decent,
full circle,
an actually decent 20 gigabit or faster enclosure, just plug it in via Type-C. You possibly can't boot off of it, but it gives you...
Yeah, see, for me, I want to be able to boot off of it because I want to bring all of my apps with me.
But that means that you can have one SSD on a carrier card, effectively, to boot off of, and you now don't need bifurcation.
Yeah.
And then you have this for all of your storage, and it also means it's portable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you've got all of your storage and it's portable, it means... You go, I just need to move some files around. You can unplug that and carry
that would
that
give
with
you the choice. Yeah, you can. You've got the carrier card, which is when you want to boot with all of your apps, and you've got the mobile drive for when you don't need to boot. You just need your stuff.
Yeah.
So actually, that would make a lot of sense. And you probably put your Steam library on the external in that case, so you can carry your Steam library with you. But yeah, that still stands. Right. Carry on, because you speak, and then I'm going to catch up on chat because I've been neglecting.
The other thing I was going to say is the thing you could do, depend on how kind of custom you wanted to make the setup. You could look at what apps you actually needed, and see if they're things that you could just run without install, portable, or how well they'd run in some sort of virtualized environment.
Yeah.
So you just have a virtual hard drive on here, and you boot the virtual machine.
Now you mention it, one of the big reasons for me wanting to do this, I've suddenly realized would actually not work, because one of the big reasons why I want to do this is to effectively carry around my video editing setup. And I know Vegas will throw a hissy fit if I boot it on another system, because it will go, this is a different computer, you've got to reactivate. So actually, this entire conversation is moot, because Vegas will not transfer between computers without constantly reactivating it.
Can you not just save a config file?
No, because it will just detect that the computer has changed and require me to reactivate.
No. Can you not just save a config file, install the config file on here, and have it installed in 2 locations, and just import a config file?
Yeah, but then the idea is that I can plug this whole setup into any computer. Because because otherwise it would beg the question: why don't you just have your video editing setup installed at work as well? And I'm like, the problem is the computers at work keep changing, The
only way I could see you changing that is some sort of containerization.
Yeah.
So the machine that Vegas is running on doesn't change because it's a virtual machine.
Move it around in a VM, yeah.
But then obviously you start hitting potential performance issues because Vegas is Vegas.
Understandable. Right, coming back to chat. Sorry, guys, we went onto a ramble for a moment there, and at least on AM4 and AM5, booting off PCIe M.2 adapter cards has no problem. So I think that was definitely an old days problem.
Yeah.
But
so remember, this was trying to add it to like X79 boards and stuff.
Yeah. I think the bifurcation thing for having two drives on one card, I think you're right, that's the bigger enemy. It would be kind of interesting to have a look at what bifurcation looks like these days.
I think certainly on higher end boards, you're going to see it pop up. Certainly, I think Asus are reasonably large proponents for it.
Yeah.
But only on like certain slots and things like that.
Apparently, X series usually support Bi-Fi on AMD, says a guy in chat.
Interesting.
Citation needed, but I'm kind of part of me is kind of curious to look that up because it was just one of those like that. If it turns out that I'm just going to call it Bi-Fi now because I like that. If it turns out that Bi-Fi is just standard issue on high-end boards now, that's good to know.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like how like rebar is just standard issue now. That's not something you have to check for. That's just standard on modern stuff.
I know that my X470 Gaming 7 had bifurcation on it. In one of the, advanced config things somewhere, and I was just like, interesting.
Yeah.
Never used it, but I was just, interesting, it's there.
Reploid also said earlier on, my only worry is cooling, since M.2 basically needs active cooling. I'm not sure about that. Certainly you'd want a heatsink on the drives, but active cooling, no. I disagree.
Depends on what class of drive you've got.
I mean, if you're running bleeding edge top speed drives, maybe we can have that conversation.
If it's Gen 4x4 drives, I can see you wanting certainly active airflow around the device. Not necessarily device specific to active cooling, but you'll certainly want active airflow around the device with a heatsink on it, just because they're up to 15 watts, up to 17 watts.
Oof.
And then Gen 5 is about the same. So it's just a case of, I don't think the device needs a fan on it, but I think it's certainly a case of, we're pushing to the point where you definitely want a fan somewhere in the area. It's certainly giving you some sort of airflow. Just because actually it's a ridiculous amount of heat when you think about it for how little looks like is going on.
That's fair, yeah. It might have been slowly, creeping up on me without really knowing. Because I know that the drives do warm up.
Gen 3 drives are fine.
Yeah.
And
I think it's
just
mainly
a huge jump in PCI link power on Gen 4.
Yeah.
Certainly for the very top performing drives.
Most of the Gen 4 drives that I've worked with are the sort of Gen 4 in name only drives where they're sort of like, 1 or 2 gigabyte per second kind of thing, which is fast, but we're not talking like the 7,000 megs per second Samsungs here, But if you have one of those, I'd be like, okay, you know what? I could believe that thing pumps out some wattage,
Yeah. So
yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Also, for bifurcation, if it is supported, Jason has just pointed out that it's probably only supported on the first 16X slot, which is obviously going to have your GPU in it anyway.
Yeah.
You're unlikely to have that supported on other slots in the computer, so that could certainly be an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is part of the benefit of obviously like Threadripper and things like that, because obviously so many of the slots are CPU slots as well and things like that.
That's the point where you care.
Yeah, you just get more bifurcation support and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's fair. Stevie H says, I've had enough of Corsair QL fans failing RGB lights. I've not had that much issue with Corsair reliability. However, the reason why I've just suddenly picked up this comment is that I wanted to talk about this last week, but man, I'm kind of done with Corsair right now. I think their hubris has caught up with them. Because I don't know if you've looked at the cost of their AIOs in recent times, but their AIOs cost ludicrous amounts of money. Like obviously their fans have always been expensive, but they're just like their all-in-one water coolers are like $300, $400 now, a standard price. And get this, I actually fitted one recently to that one computer that was in, and it had all the new IQ Link stuff and everything, and it had control. It was an AIO with 2 RGB fans on it and RGB on the thing, and it had a separate controller box, and the controller box and the AIO both needed power. And I'm like, and then the fans and the thing both had link cables going back to the controller box, and I'm like, this solves nothing. This solves nothing. The point of IQ Link was to get rid of the cables. You haven't gotten rid of the cables. There are still a mess of cables in the back of this computer. You have solved nothing. The only thing this has done is the fact that you can daisy chain the fans.
Yeah.
Which is not really a problem we have. Because if anything, it's just as bad because now you've got these thick IQ Link cables instead of the tiny thin noodly ones, which, there are a lot of them, but they were trivially easy to just route around corners and stuff like that. And I'm actually, I hate it. I hated it. I was fitting it and I was like, I hate every part of this. The actual thing.
Do you know what this evidence is?
I'm nearly done.
RGB is bad.
Yeah. The actual thing looks really pretty, and you turn it on and it goes Corsair IQ, wow, and I'm like, looks slick as fuck. But the product and the fitting experience, I hated every second of it. I was like, I hate this. I hate this product. I hate the price tag. I hate the complexity of the install. I dislike this. And I think that's a crying shame because Corsair have always been one of those brands where, sure, it's not the cheapest, there's probably something that's better bang for buck, but you can't go wrong with it. If someone said, I'm buying an all Corsair PC, I'd be like, sure. It's like buying an iPhone. There's probably a better value thing, but you know that they're going to be fine. However, now I'm just like, I hate it. I hated every part of it. I'm done.
Are you though?
Well, I finished my speech. I finished my rant.
Yeah. My favourite thing you were saying about that is has their hubris caught up with them. Is one of the things that they were complaining about in their recent earnings call.
Yeah.
Was that their earnings have decreased because GTA 6 hasn't come out.
Yeah. That was part of it because they were complaining about how their earnings have gone down and stuff like that. And I'm like, your earnings have gone down because you're charging double the cost of any competing product.
Yeah.
And you can't charge like 300, 400 quid for your all-in-one water cooler while the Liquid Freezer 3 exists. And I know that doesn't have a flashy LCD on it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's £80.
Well, yeah. You also can't even do that when like the hype thick whatever it is exists, because that's got a blimmin' 7-inch LCD in it and that's 350 quid.
Yeah,
it's like it's basically the same price, but it's got a friggin' fancy screen on it that actually displays pictures.
Yep. And like the other bit that sparked this as well was there was a recent LTT video where one of the LTT guys just did a blind build of a custom water cooling loop. Just to, I tried to water cool this PC for X amount of money, and he bought a Corsair IQ res pump combo that had a fancy screen on it and stuff, and it was ludicrously expensive, whatever. And the problem is, it didn't come with the IQ controller box, and it would literally not function even at the basic level. Like, it did not pump.
It was not a pump.
It did not pump without having the IQ controller box. It was inert without being plugged into an IQ controller box. And I'm just like, Corsair, what are you doing? And we know that Corsair have always been they've always been a bit of a closed ecosystem, but it has reached peak Apple levels of closed ecosystem hubris now.
No, it hasn't. Because you buy an iPhone and it functions. You don't need to buy another product to make your iPhone function.
And like, obviously, obviously its intention that you're going to buy this pump along with other Corsair equipment.
I don't care.
But it should at least function as well. So even if the screen doesn't work, it should circulate liquid, So
what you're saying is, if my Link box thing stops being a Link and becomes a Zelda, my computer will explode because it overheats because my pump doesn't pump even though it's got power.
Maybe. Like, this is all assuming that LTT did not have a skill issue moment, but other people came in and were just like, really? Oh God, that's terrible. And I'm assuming that another member of staff would have come in and be like, no, this is a skill issue. This does work without it, just the screen won't work. You assume that someone in there would have done that. So
if
I'm
that's
taking
true,
this at face
I'm just
value.
Like, what?
So yeah.
That's wild and horrid, and I think I'll be sticking with my Barrow pumps off of AliExpress for 50 quid, please.
Yeah.
Because also, hello, would you like, like 18 meters of head pressure.
Yeah. And for the sake of just interesting videos for low-cost water cooling, you know, Jay's 2 Cents recently did a video of like the cheapest viable water cooling he could manage, and that was a really good video, kind of thing.
Who did that?
Jay's
Sorry?
2 Cents.
Oh,
yeah.
yes, I think
featuring
I saw.
featuring like a 20
thumbnail.
quid water block kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this thing is cheap and nasty, but it works. Like that one that we looked at that was like,
$7 or something.
yeah, and like
$7 plus shipping.
yeah,
And
like we're not
okay.
going to pretend that this is a good product, but it worked.
It was within something like 30 or 40 watts of the EK one as well. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not atrocious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's not giving you peak performance. You'd be a bit disappointed if you were 40 watts down and you'd spent a lot of money. But if you've spent $7...
Yeah. Oh, also, just tangent, JD said, I spec'd a custom loop for like £700 this week. Are you aware of this, JD and Night Fusion planning things?
I have immediate concern.
Yeah. Okay. JD and Night Fusion have spec'd water cooling for Night Fusion's PC. They want to send the whole lot here and have us build it.
Right, okay. Excellent. Very well. That's fine.
Okay.
This is my introduction to this plan. Hello, plan.
Oh, right. Yes, fair enough. Because I when Night Fusion said to me, I'm like, I'm going to check in with Caradog first, just because, like, yeah. But yes, okay. I'll leave you guys to fight amongst yourselves. And yeah, given that JD spec'd the loop, I have full faith that everything is in order.
I have full faith that JD has learned how to save a car.
Yeah. However, just basically, as some
I am not involved in this plan. I just helped him get all the things. JD is slowly backpedaling.
I was going to say, yeah,
and the backpedaling speed will increase.
Yeah, his JD just starting to just hammer a chisel between him and this entire scenario. However, at any rate,
I'm in a different continent. You can't blame me.
if you could check in on that plan at some point and just like give me the nod and be like, yes, I support this plan. I will then say,
I
cool.
absolutely fully support whatever the fresh hell that will be.
All right then. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. I will assume that we're going ahead with that then.
However, if we are actually doing that and if we are actually streaming it, may I suggest that we start streaming early?
Yeah. Well, I guess we could try and. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. We'll.
If the plan is to stream it, we should start early.
I'm brave enough to stream it. Because
Yes.
we've had practice at this, we did practice, we've done our test ones.
But it's also the case of
However,
it will be...
also, it is soft tubing.
Yeah,
because I did say if it's hard tubing, I'm out. I'm not brave enough to do hard tubing yet.
Yeah.
I do want to try hard tubing at some point. We should buy some hard tubing and mess around with that.
Yes.
I'm not brave enough to do that on someone else's PC though. But yeah.
It's okay, it's only Night Fusion.
He'll probably sell it next month. So yeah, I love you, Night Fusion.
To me, for £17.
No.
And a packet of M&Ms.
All right. Okay, JD says no, he was the madman, and I was like, I wonder if Graham will build it. So JD, you're now the instigator, yeah. However, I'm okay with this because you have looked over it, and I trust you to actually have spec'd something that makes sense. So yeah. Someone mentioned the Barrow pump earlier on, and where's the water cooling loop? Oh, is that no? That one's got the liquid freezer
There
too.
is a white box somewhere in here that has all of the stuff in it as well.
Okay, are you running water cooling anywhere?
Yes, because we have the EK radiator.
Yeah.
That's in my PC with the EK water block for the 5700 and the I think EK CPU block and one of the short Barrow pump in my work PC.
I was going to say, yeah, that stuff's all in your work PC, isn't it? So yeah, and yeah, that is still functioning. So yes, the Barrow pump is still going strong.
Yes.
But yeah, Barrow are considered a good brand though, aren't they?
Yes, yes, they are very much a good brand. They're just not Western.
Yeah. It's a Chinese brand, but it's actually pretty good and great value for money.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. All right.
The only problem I've had is that I bought the short one, and the short one is
The ones
too
where,
small.
yeah, we keep having issues with getting the bubbles out of it, don't we?
Yeah, and the short one is just too small, and you need a much bigger one.
Yeah, whereas when we did that test run with the tall res,
Yeah.
it just bleeding the loop was a dream. So yeah. Cool. Yeah, interesting. Very well. Cool. Right, scanning through the chats. Very well. Do it on Caradog's new shiny 9800X 3D. Well, that doesn't. When that exists, maybe. So yeah, do they sell Dickens cider in the UK?
I don't think so.
No.
I think that's I can't remember if it's Australian or New Zealand.
No. Yeah, I don't recognise that one. However, on the subject, which is why I picked that one up, I did encounter. I should have brought it in today actually, but maybe I'll bring it in for tomorrow. I was out for dinner with my ex-boss. With Mike Lloyd-Jones, my ex-boss. And as a thank you for some favours I did for him, he bought me a bottle of ice cider. And basically, ice cider is, imagine if cider was a wine, basically. What they do is they take apple juice and they freeze it so you get like a concentrate out of the apple juice. And then you ferment that. And you end up with like a cider liqueur that's about 11%. And you drink that as you would brandy over ice. And you just go, kind of thing.
I see.
And so I have a bottle of that, and it's jolly nice. I really wanted to just like have a wine glass of it last night while I was on VR chat, but that feels like a waste of it. It's really nice. It's in a nice bottle. I'm like, it would kind of be rude to just knock this back to get drunk.
If you're knocking something back to get drunk, you should just drink Rachmaninoff.
What's that?
The cheap vodka that's somewhere.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, no, that's what I've been doing for the past month. I've been using that up. I've just been doing, Pepsi Max and whatever that cheap vodka battery acid was. So, yeah. Anyway, though, ice cider. It's nice. I'll bring some in tomorrow so we can share it. And obviously, you've got to store it in the fridge and you have it cold.
Yes.
But yeah, jolly nice. Dick inside her. Well done, Si.
Yes.
Okay, I did that just long enough to be awkward.
There is another cider brand who runs on a similar joke called Cummins.
I see. Very well. Love you, Si.
Duh.
Cool. Right. I think we're caught up on chat. So, right, I'm going to grab that.
Engine brand? Huh?
Are you thinking of Wankel? I'm assuming that's where this joke is.
I've no idea.
I think we're just going with just things, but yeah. I'm going to grab that MacBook so you can test if your thing works on the MacBook, just so we can answer that question, because otherwise it won't get done. Then I vote we unbox this LG monitor and gawk at it. And then maybe as a special treat, plug it into something.
Absolutely.
That's just come out of the box, so I'm assuming it's going to come up with first run.
Oh, it's got a password on it.
The password is 1234. Magical.
Ta-da! Oh, this keyboard doesn't feel like absolute garbage.
No, that's an M1, so this is post butterfly keyboard now. Which is why I buy the M1 secondhand. So yes, you know
can
what?
Have what? Huh?
So just in case you're having a revelation, the modern Apple Force trackpad has 2 click levels. It's got a light click and a heavy click. And by default, heavy click is expose, which is just show desktop, which I think is a terrible idea. But that's just how it's configured by default. I hate it and I turn it off. But that's why it's doing weird things, basically.
I was just trying to work out what it thought it was doing.
Yeah. Everyone hack Graham now. No! Adam and IT hacked.
No, my cat pictures. Do you want to allow this accessory to be storage? Yes, Macos, I would. Interesting. Yes, That functions.
Apple is a terrible idea. Yeah, kind of is. Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, about it opening in new windows. Yeah, Apple does that with NTFS. If you do, so to solve that, just so you know, future reference, do View, and then Show Toolbar, which is Command Option T. That then gives you the full thing, which will now open in same window. So macOS, for some reason or other, macOS will behave in this way on any read-only drive. I don't know why.
I see.
But yeah, macOS's default behavior is to hide all toolbars and open every folder in a new window on a read-only drive.
Sure.
I don't know why. It's just always been that way.
Fine.
So yeah.
But that functions.
But yes, that drive works on a Mac apparently.
Yeah, but also it's the fact of it's not turned off. As in the fact of it functions in any sense.
Why were you expecting it not to work, possibly?
Because it doesn't. Not on this.
I have no idea what we're talking about. Please start from the beginning.
If you plug this in to a 40 gigabit port that is not officially labelled as a USB 4 port, it does not power on.
Ah, I see.
If you plug it into a 20 gigabit or less port,
it works.
It will power on and say this USB 4 device is limited.
Oh, I see.
Because it's limited because it could do 40 gigabit.
Yeah.
And it's only got 20.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be a 40 gigabit device, yet it doesn't seem to work on 40 gigabit ports.
It does not work on... It is a USB 4 enclosure. It does not work with Thunderbolt 3 40 gigabit ports. I didn't know if that was a this device is faulty or a it does not work with Thunderbolt 3
issue.
And it does not work with Thunderbolt 3.
Okay. Yeah.
These are USB 4 ports and support USB protocol at 40 gigabit.
I see.
It works with a 40 gigabit USB 4 port, which is what it says it should do, but it's because of that stepping. And obviously, I've been using it plugged into 20 gigabit ports fine, as long as they're not trying to be clever and be Thunderbolt ports as well.
Fair enough.
But like on my Latitude 5520, because those are Thunderbolt 3 Type-C ports, I can't use the Type-C ports because they try and do Thunderbolt, not USB.
Yes.
And therefore this enclosure doesn't work. So I have to use the Type-A ports on that laptop. And it was just a case of I was just trying to work out what the actual functioning case of this was.
Got it.
And it is a case of will work with USB 2, 3, 4 and the combinations, but it will only work with USB, does not do Thunderbolt.
Got it.
And will not tell a Thunderbolt port to use USB. Because Thunderbolt ports using USB is a thing. But this won't tell those ports to do that.
Got it. That makes sense, and you have now identified the specific thing it doesn't like.
Yes, and it does actually function, is the long answer to that. It's not broken. It's just the way I was trying to use it is not something that is supported. Very
well. Mac has no BIOS. No, Mac runs UEFI firmware. However, there is no configuration front end for that firmware. Can you disable Thunderbolt on the laptop? Yeah, that's the implementation of it.
Can disable the port.
Yeah, however,
and then the port will stop functioning. But you cannot disable the Thunderbolt-ness of it, because the only way it is connected is via a Thunderbolt controller. And the Thunderbolt controller is the thing that also supports USB. There isn't a separate USB controller.
Makes sense. All right.
I like the redesign of this top menu and just the way that the menus are boxes on Sonoma or whatever it's called.
Oh,
just
yes.
The boxing of the menu is quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like modern macOS. My only grievance is I hate modern system preferences. It's designed to look like the iOS control panel, which an iOS control panel makes sense on a mobile device. However, it's got the Windows 8 problem of it's woefully space inefficient on a large screen. I understand why macOS has gone in that direction, but I don't like it. But yeah, cool. All right.
It's a complete derailment. As a comparison between this and the 2021 ones we had down there,
Yeah.
this is such a nice device by comparison. I cannot believe that the same company went from that to this in one generation.
Yeah. The butterfly keyboard, basically just the Type-C era, like, I don't know what you call, I guess you could call it the touch bar era, because the touch bar got dropped for Apple Silicon onwards, I think.
Yeah.
However, so yeah, just the touch bar era, which is basically like 2016 to 2019, I think, is just a dark time for Macs, I think. And now we're out of that. We're now into this new era where the M1 Macs are quite affordable secondhand. That's a MacBook Air M1. You can find them on eBay for between £350 and £400, which is remarkably affordable, I think. And that's very palatable as this is a second-hand Mac that I would actually say is a good idea to buy.
Yeah.
You know.
And this is a 14-inch, isn't it? Or something like that. 13, 14 inch.
Yeah. Because I'm going to get one of these for myself. That one is going to go to a customer, but I'm going to get an extra one for myself so I can do DFU repairs to other Macs.
Yeah.
And I've been really resistant to buying a more modern Mac for the shop because I don't like the touch bar era Macs. However, these ones now, you look at them and you're like, this is really nice, and it's Apple Silicon, so you know they're not going to dump it at the first opportunity, you know.
And also just the keyboard actually feels capable of being typed on.
I don't hate them anymore. I'm not going to say that I like them. It's still got all the usual Apple hang-ups, such as no expandable storage or memory and stuff like that. But
I think for a £400 laptop.
Yeah. If you want a Mac, this is not a terrible option now.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah.
Only because size there. What's the £400 equivalent second-hand Latitude?
Yeah, that's a good idea actually.
Because that would be my comparison.
Yeah. What was the one that we got for Katrina? Because that was like...
Wasn't that a 7650 something?
I don't know. I don't recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, Si knows the Latitude's like the back of his hand. So
it had the upgraded body, but also the 13th gen processor, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. Repler says, would instantly try to swap out the OS, but I don't think the apples play nice with Linux. If you're not running macOS, then why are you running a Mac? Is the answer to that. Yeah. This is the same as anyone who says, I want to boot camp my Mac. I'm like, then buy a Windows laptop.
The only reason I can see to boot camp it is for... There are a couple of things where you just can't get a Mac program.
Yeah,
or
well,
you have to use the
you...
Windows edition of that program to fit in with a wider ecosystem, but you want the Mac laptop.
Even then, every now and then I'll get like an office who will be like, oh, we're a Mac office, but our accounting software is Windows only. We want to boot camp. I'm like, don't just buy an Optiplex or a Latitude just to run your accounting software.
Or get Mac accounting software.
Or that, you know.
Just use a web browser-based accounting software then.
Yeah. Because for $200 an M1 is a strong, fast laptop, I guess. But yeah, Si says 7440 or 7430.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Can you not run a VM inside macOS? You can, but I don't think they've got. I don't think the virtualization is very good. I don't think Macs have any meaningful hypervisor equivalent.
Yeah.
Because obviously
it'd be looking at whatever Broadcom, not Broadcom. Is it Broadcom? Who the hell bought VMware recently? Whomever it was who bought VMware recently. Whatever they do for macOS will probably be the options.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're on like Parallels or apparently Broadcom. Yeah, either way, I think I think any VM software on macOS, I don't think it has an equivalent of hypervisor where you actually have like that. That low-level hardware access.
It's probably fully software.
Yeah, it's actually virtualized, which obviously is just massacres performance
instead of like Hyper-V or Workstation on Windows, where you've actually got hardware virtualization extensions.
Yeah. Cool. Right, let's look at this fancy thing. I'm going to leave you to unbox this, and I'm going to grab a cider. I'm going to have a rummage through the Hogans. What have we got?
Oh, there's a label on both sides. Never mind.
Are you having a drink, Caradog?
I will.
Right, let's see. Ooh, okay. I'm going to have the hip hop hopped cider. All right, so in the Hogan's, we've got a lot of choice at the moment. All right, that's another goes against the grain. What was the salty one? I can't remember.
Goes against the grain.
Was it? Oh no. All right, we've got a goes against the grain. We've got the golden and earthy medium, the smooth and smoky vintage.
Yeah. I'll have the vintage.
Okay.
Please.
And then there's a killer sharp sour cider there as well, just for reference.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the goes against the grain was that? Yeah, saline sour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's any different if you freeze it. So you drink it as actually a super cold cider.
We could try it sometime. Yeah, I'll stick one in the freezer. So you can put a glass bottle in a freezer, can't you?
Yeah, certainly that one because it won't.
It's not actually a freezer.
Well, more just a case of it won't super freeze it.
I'll stick that in the freezer and we'll forget about it for a month.
So yes.
Speaking of forgetting about it for a month, there is another rosé in here, just so you know.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, unless you want that.
Oh, I'll drink that because it's cold.
Very well.
Thank you. Yes. Unmonitor. In box. There you go. One. Oh, wrong side. Hold on.
Complete with a puddle of water.
Excellent.
As a special treat, I'll get a towel and actually dry it off for you. Because the freezer doesn't freeze, so it just covers everything in water.
Oh, that's delightful. But yes, this is one LG 32 GS 95 UE, which is based on the new LG display dual mode displays, which means it can do 240 Hz at 4K and 480 Hz at 1080p, whilst retaining all of the OLED goodness.
Very nice, very nice. I'm looking forward to seeing this thing in action because I haven't actually seen an OLED monitor or TV yet. Like, I've never actually seen one, so I'm curious to look at this thing running so I can actually witness it. And see the magic. Like, I believe in OLED because just everything. You're right.
Well, it was only because YouTube Studio was open there as well, and I was just like,
see.
Oh, that's YouTube Studio. Hello, YouTube Studio.
I did not intentionally leave it open on that computer, but it's not doing any harm. I believe in OLED because everything I know about it says that it will be amazing and everything, but I've never actually seen it. So yeah, and Did you actually cut it then? Okay, yeah. I'm going to move these mugs.
Huh.
I'm assuming you're done with that coffee because there's like a dribble.
Thanks.
Yep.
Oh, I forgot to slice that side. You fool!
I'm going to hammer of thug this bad boy.
Try that again. There we go.
What's this? Oh, that's the vintage. Oh, I guess I'm drinking that now.
Excellent. As long as someone knows what's happening.
Is this monitor a grand? Is it?
Yes.
Yes. It doesn't surprise me because I guess we can describe this as a top-end modern OLED, can't we?
Yeah, basically.
Although it's kind of interesting that the top end is a grand now, because not that long ago the top end would have been like 1400, 1500.
Yeah.
Whereas the fact that the top end is now a grand, that's an interesting ceiling, because it means that the mid-range is down to like, 700 or something. They're coming down. We've been, every time we have the conversation about the monitor conversation on this show, I say how I'm waiting for like the £500 gaming OLED kind of thing. And we're nearly there, aren't we?
yeah, it's certainly happening. So yeah, these bags are very LG because they're exactly the same as their TV bags.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense, but just the stand is a big stand.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything in this bit. I was half expecting this to, you know, them to be like, oh, it's got inductive charging or something for your phone, because I know some of the monitor brands have been doing things like that.
That'd be. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ba, ba, ba. OLED that can handle text well and not burn in at annoying options is what I would like, given that the OLED picture quality and colour is great, so why is text such a problem? I saw this come up in the Discord discussion, because Katrina was asking about text
what I
quality.
said, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we already covered that, yeah, okay.
No, just, that's what Katrina asked in the Discord.
Yeah, you mentioned that apparently...
That was the long paragraph of text.
I see. Yeah. Because OLEDs obviously have weird subpixels, so which means that text can be a bit weird.
It's all because of the way that what you see on your screen isn't actually what's on your screen. And what you think are pixels aren't pixels and all of that sort of thing, because of the way that everything's trying to make stuff look better.
Yeah.
And because text is actually rendered at the sub-pixel level.
Yeah.
And because each pixel is made up of, in general, 3 coloured blobs, an RG and a B, you can then use those RGs and Bs to render stuff at a resolution greater than the actual number of pixels by using sub-pixel rendering. Font is rendered using sub-pixel rendering, but that is only set up to use RGB subpixels.
Yes.
So if you have anything other than RGB, like some of the cheap IPS gaming monitors that were there for a few years, which were BGR, the sub-pixel rendering looked weird because the pixels were the wrong way around. So you had fringing or things like that.
Yeah.
With OLED, there are 2 types of OLED. There is what's called WOLED, which is the 3 pixels, but it's got a separate white one as well. And all that does is give you white.
Yeah.
And it boosts the peak brightness, basically, and also the efficiency when displaying only white.
Yeah.
There is also QD OLED, which is quantum dot, and basically that has a triangle of phosphors.
Yeah.
And that triangle is obviously not a stripe.
Yeah.
So because of a different shape, it then gives you different artifacts of the subpixel rendering. Like with WOLED, from memory, you get kind of a shadow almost on it.
Yeah.
Whereas with the QD OLED, you get like purple and green fringing, purple at the top, green at the bottom, from memory of the characters. And some people are sensitive to it and some people aren't in the slightest.
This is making me think, because now and then, for ages, like I couldn't tell you which, but for ages, I think it was any time I saw like a HP monitor, there would just be something weird about the picture. And it's making me begin to want, but then that might have just been over sharpening on the monitor.
That might have also just been HP.
Yeah. Yeah, no, never mind. I don't think, I was going to sort of think, I wonder if that was one of these weird panels, but I don't think it was. I think that was just a garbage out-of-box setup on it that was oversharpened or something.
Excuse me. I went to drink and then coughed up my drink.
I see.
I'm capable of drinking. I don't have a drinking never mind. Oh, that's unfortunate.
What's up?
Separate power brick.
Oh, yeah, that's a bummer.
Separate power bricks are always disappointing to me.
Yeah. It's not a deal breaker, but it's just like, great, now this brick has to follow the monitor around instead of me just being able to plug in and...
I now have a new sticker for my case.
Energy rating F, that's a bit depressing, isn't it?
It's an OLED.
Yeah.
That's what they do. But yes.
Actually, though, does it actually say what the watts are? Oh, kilowatt hours per 1,000 hours. Oh, it doesn't just say what the average wattage is or anything, which would be good to know.
Yeah. But It does come with an ultra certified HDMI cable, which is nice that it's actually certified.
Oh yeah.
USB B.
That's a weird. Really, an A to large B. That's an odd choice.
Yeah, for the USB 3-ness.
Yeah, like
Instead of it being Type C. Which
yeah,
is a
I'm
shame.
surprised it doesn't have just Type C ports on it. Like, this is a brand new product.
Yeah.
Why would you not put just Type C everything
And
on
then
it?
just DisplayPort, full-size DisplayPort to full-size DisplayPort.
Not a deal breaker, but a weird choice.
Yeah. So fine, that's what's in there.
Right, I'll tell you what. If you pick up the monitor, I'll get this box out of the way.
I'm just working out where the frame is. There is no frame. Huh. Thank you.
Bang.
Clang, clang.
With the trolley.
There is so much static. Right. Oh, you can go either side. Okay, fine. Whoop. Does this actually open? Are you attached to the front? No, it's fine. I'm just going to...
Uncanny says, so basically just wait until the resolution and refresh rate gets so high that human eye cannot see or make out any of this faffing about in OLED rendering. Oh, no.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what I wanted to do.
yes. I mean, realistically, the thing is that 4K is kind of a major 4K is kind of a major milestone because the penalty, the performance penalty above 4K is astronomical. So it's extremely unlikely that the higher than 4K resolutions, I guess 5K will be a thing for 16 by 10s, but it's extremely unlikely that above 4K class monitors are going to be viable in any meaningful way in the next, I'm going to be so bold as to say within the next 5 to 10 years. So 4K is still going to be the benchmark for the foreseeable future. And for refresh rate, personally, I don't think that anything above 160, 200 is... I think if you can hit 200, that's fine. Because as soon as you hit like 140 to 160, your limitation isn't the refresh rate, but the actual display technology. But that's where OLED comes in, is that OLED is just so much faster than LCD that suddenly you're actually getting the speeds that you're looking for.
You can use it vertical with this stand.
I should hope so, but then I don't know.
That's a shocking number that you can't.
Yeah.
But interestingly, you can't rotate it without angling it forwards. But yes.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not like you're going to be sort of casually turning it around depending on what you're doing, is it?
No,
you know, so
but it's just annoying that you have to be aware of it because you can mark the base.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, there you go.
All right.
It's big.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Height adjustable.
I like.
That's nice.
I know we're in a big room at the moment, which makes it deceptive, but every time we get to new standards, I'm just like, I'm like, oh, 27 is the absolute max I would ever go to. Or for dual screens, 24. These days I'm running dual 27s, and then I'm just like, no, 30 is too big. And now, 32, I was just like, 32 is a small television. I'd never go 32. And now I'm like, I don't know, I'd enjoy sitting in front of that on my desk.
There you go. I'm doing it this way only because it's easier to see the ports whilst it's sat up. But yes, you have the funny Type B in.
Yeah. Two Type A's.
Two Type A's out. Fine, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a token gesture USB hub, isn't it?
Yeah. 2 HDMI, 1 DisplayPort.
Yeah, I would bother to plug that in because those ports are a really good place to plug in like your wireless headset dongle and like your wireless mouse dongle. Other than that, I would probably not even bother plugging that in. So yeah, then there's the whole dual mode double. Oh, it's dual mode double. So.
Mode duvet.
Yeah, you're going to have to explain to me what the hell that means again in a minute because I wasn't listening.
It means that it will appear as a 1080p monitor.
Ah, I see. So you push that button and it goes and it says, I'm now a 1080p monitor, but now I can do double the refresh rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which seems weird because you would imagine it would just be like, yeah, I don't understand why it's not just a single mode thing, but you can't get up to full speed at 4K. I don't understand why it has to have multiple modes, but perhaps that's just how they achieve those high speeds by actually changing.
It's also possibly something to do with just the way that Windows works.
Yeah.
And they've discovered an issue with that.
Basically, like Reploid says, why does it need a button for that? Yeah, that's my question, but I'm assuming...
I presume because it has 2 completely separate EDP profiles, so Windows doesn't get confused.
Yeah. I'm guessing that the engineers that designed this product know an awful lot more about how to do this than you or I do, and there's a reason why they need a button for it.
I presume it's a Windows thing, more than a specifically hardware thing.
Don't put wireless dongles in the monitor. When it goes to sleep, it turns off the ports, and you won't be able to wake the computer. I use the power button for that anyway. I don't like it when the computer wakes from a button press or a mouse move, because that's really easy to do accidentally. It really bothers me when I bump the mouse and the computer wakes up. I'm just like, this is what power buttons are for. But that's me. So, yeah. Interesting observation, though. Yes, I agree.
Just as a comparison, hold on.
Yeah? That looks really good, man. Yeah. All right, what are we going to plug into it? Are we going to get your PC?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah. All right, I'll let you haul that out here. Actually, I'll be a bro and I'll haul that out here while you tinker. Then we'll at some point we'll have to, when we set this up, we need to set it up in such a way that we can actually move it around and show it to the camera. Not that being able to look at it through a camera is worth much, just like, yeah, if we're sitting here messing around with the monitor, I guess you guys would actually like to see the monitor.
Yeah.
Maybe we could put another monitor next to it as a basis of comparison. So at least you can just see the difference in colour and such. Right.
Stupid hacking.
Right. I'll just stick this on the floor and we'll plug it in and turn it on and we'll tinker with this when we're running out of things to do, won't we? So yeah, cool. All right.
19.5 volts. 10 amps, 210 watt.
210 watts for a monitor. Yikes, bro, yikes. I tell you what, I'm going to get the extension lead and plug in the power meter and we'll see if it's actually pulling that, because that's kind of scary if your monitor is burning 200 watts. That's actually a bit scary. Like, you're going to feel that on the power bill. That's for that. Ow. Right, that's plugged in. I'm going to find power.
Le power.
That IEC in the back of that power brick.
No, it's Cloverleaf. It's Mickey Mouse, sorry.
I call it Cloverleaf. I think Mickey Mouse is a silly name for it. Just saying. Where did you put it? Oh, there.
It's on the stand.
How many texts does it take to plug in a monitor? Bang.
Oh.
Watch for the trailing cable. Oh, okay. It turned on and did a ultra gear little flare because I glanced over here. Right, is that in standby? Yeah, no, that's still on. Okay, yeah. I was going to say, I thought it was using 30 watts in standby, which is why I was like, are you sure? Are you sure about that? Right, I'm going to wait for that to go into standby. Does it have a standby light on it? No. All right, fine. Well, we'll leave that to run.
The nipple, there.
That looks like it's off. It doesn't. No, it's still not. It doesn't have any
I
power.
just changed it.
Yeah, it doesn't have like a status LED or anything on it. I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, power off. That's probably like off. I know. Yeah, that's between 0.5 watt and 1 watt standby. So yeah, no, that's fine. I always check these things because you never know. All right. Okay, right, so we need that. I'll grab a keyboard and mouse. I'm going to get actually I'll get something that could be described as maybe a gaming mouse in the very broadest of strokes.
Oh, there. I was looking for my bag.
Ah, too late.
I also have the cable kit.
Aha, very good. Oh.
This is where you show up the fact that my USB ports don't work or something. I'm just like, no! My USB ports, I need them.
The USB.
Do we have a picture? Oh yeah, we have a picture.
Yeah.
What's that? Configure the PC to...
We're booting at 1080p.
Interesting. Very well.
All right.
Huh.
Okay.
Monitor.
Is that 4K?
I don't know. Let's find
Yeah.
out. Hui.
Not sure if it's scaled or not, but yeah. Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah, 4K 150%.
Yeah.
Very well.
Because yes. There you go.
Yeah. Right. So if you take that back so it's sitting on the desktop again. Right, so it's displaying a picture now and it's sitting at 55 watts, which sounds fairly sensible.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to if that will get a bit...
Look at it now, just because obviously it's displaying black.
Yeah, that's now dropped down to 36 watts because mostly black.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to, so presumably that 200 watts must be like when it's like bursting in HDR and stuff like that then.
Yeah.
So yeah, the actual typical draw is fine. So yeah. Because like an average monitor I would expect to be sort of, 30 to 40 watts. So, 50 to 60 for a big monitor seems completely plausible to me. Cool. Right, full white and brightness, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, is that HDR?
Yeah. Which in theory will make no difference to that. Yeah, it's still 50 watts. Yeah, good.
I was going to say the on-screen display definitely looked brighter when it went into HDR.
Yeah.
However, because the current content is not HDR, it didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
But yeah. Cool. So, right. So, what's our plan? Are we going to fire up a couple of games on it and go ooh ah, or?
Yeah. Oh, it's got volume. Okay.
Yeah. How many lux? Yeah, what's the peak brightness of this thing? Do you know the headline?
I've
Specs?
no idea.
Fair enough, yeah. Probably a lot, but that's the thing, is like, because it's OLED, it's going to be a case of it's going to be good enough, because with OLEDs are not great at peak brightness, but the thing is because the contrast on them is astronomical, they don't need to do as much brightness as an LCD does, if my understanding is correct. Because where LCD doesn't have as good contrast, it needs that peak brightness in order to attain the range. Whereas because
to give you the effective HDR ness. Yeah,
whereas
absolutely.
With OLED, you don't need to hit astronomical brightness levels because the blacks are so black. All right, your plan is to go home. All right, catch you later, Si. Yes. Okay. Right.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah. HDR. Whoops. I'm 480 hertz. Yeah.
That does look very smooth, but I'd have to see side-by-side comparisons.
With this, it actually reports its peak brightness.
Oh,
back,
interesting.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
As 603 nits.
Which seems remarkably not very impressive.
Yeah.
Like, again, even though I just did that whole bit about OLED not needing to get as bright, I still expected it to be like 800 or 1,000 or something like that. I wasn't expecting like 2,000, but yeah. Yeah, cool. Okay, so we should spin this thing. We should figure out a way to get the camera looking at this in a moment. What should we do? Shall I grab the bench cam so the bench cam can look at the monitor? Because sure. Because like people on the stream aren't going to be able to meaningfully see the difference anyway. Although what we could do is we could put a monitor side by side so you can see just as a side by side comparison that will give some impression of it. Around the desktop, that looks really smooth. Yeah, just straight away. Like, I run 165 hertz IPS at home, and this looks smooth. Yeah. This keyboard that we've got in front of us is just a Game Max one, so nothing particularly interesting. Okay. Right, there is no black in OLED. It's off. Well, yeah, that's the point.
That's also how monitors work.
Yeah. Well, kind of, yeah.
Well,
LCD's black is backlight bleed, basically. But,
yeah.
So, yeah, it's semantics. Right, I'm going to grab bench cam. Whoops. All right. Right. Let's go for that, I think. Right. So, what's the first test? Are you at 4K or 1080 at the moment?
This is 1080p 480 hertz.
That looks pretty good for 1080. Considering we're at 32 inches, I thought 1080 would look a lot worse than that. Right, let's see. Insta360. Does Dell use LG panels? It probably depends on the screen. Which I know is not a very helpful response, but... Oh, that's picked up the wrong camera, which is really handy. Right. Let's go. That needs to invert. Transform, rotate. There we go. Hold on, guys. I'm just going to adjust more.
Excuse me. I hope the limiter's working.
Yes. I'm going to pull that back slightly. I didn't really think this through, guys, so sorry if I'm tinkering. I'm just trying to figure this out. I'll do that because then we can put another monitor next to it later. And then I'm going to close the blind just to get rid of that bleed from, some of the bleed from outside.
However, given that this is a game at 1080p, it's tolerable.
Yeah.
Because, like, stick your face in it, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you pixel peep, 1080p looks dreadful.
But then,
however, I'm going to sit down and just witness 480 hertz.
Yes.
Is there any kind of motion blur turned on here?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The game felt a bit funky through the menus.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh yeah, motion blur here.
Yeah, hi. I was just going to say, because if motion blur had been off, I'd be like, not going to lie, I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to be like, I'm sorry, that does... like, because, yeah, like 480 hertz OLED, this should blow my mind. Although, that much being said, this is Doom, we're limited to 200. That's an engine cap, isn't it?
It's a CPU limit. I'm CPU limited.
Oh, wow. I see. Okay, well...
5800 X3D isn't fast enough.
Yikes. Okay, well, still, this is 200 hertz. So, okay, so this is 200 hertz OLED because we're at 200 FPS. Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. So, obviously, you guys, the way this works is this is just me goes while on this screen now, which... because we can't capture this in a stream, so all I can do is just describe what I'm seeing, and yeah, that is extremely smooth. So now I guess, the problem is that we could be doing this at 4K and the same refresh because we're capped to 200. We're going to need to do another test for something that will actually go up to 500 FPS. So. Have you got like Rocket League or something like that? Something where we can just drive it at a hilarious thing.
Can you change the game resolution?
Yeah. Video. So, actually, I'm just going to tab out. Has Windows automatically gone to 4K? No. However, are we running exclusive full screen? Yeah, so we can just change the game resolution there.
Yeah.
What do we want? 3080 by 2160? Yeah.
There you go. And then just apply.
All right, so now we're at 4K, still 200 FPS.
Because CPU limited.
Yeah. Yeah, that feels just the same, but now when I pixel peep, it's smooth as butter.
Yeah. But that's the kind of the thing with that is obviously just...
Yeah. Are we HDR as well?
I don't think Doom 2016 actually supports HDR, but we're in an HDR. The signal is inside an HDR container because Windows is in HDR, and so is the monitor.
Yeah, no, I don't think it supports HDR in that case. Yeah,
yeah.
I was going to say it's bright, but like again, if this would be my first experience seeing real HDR, and I would not be impressed.
For punch you in the face HDR. You want Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
That had punch me in the face HDR on my LG TV.
Yeah. I'd kind of be interested, for HDR, I'd kind of love to fire up something like Ori and the Blind Forest or Ori and the Will of the Wisps, because that's a game that I know, I know what it should look like.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The only thing is, I would say for that, is you'd want to do it without the studio lights on. Your first actual proper experience.
Yeah, well, we can
just
turn
because,
off, yeah, we
just
can turn
because
off the lights.
Studio lights is a different environment.
Yeah. Dave Weldon says, I avoid any punch me in the face things. What CPU is in this system? This is a 5800 X3D. So, yeah. CSGO, I want a game that's a bit higher graphical than that, but yeah. So it has a 1080p mode that you'll probably never use. I mean, I'm not really interested in refresh rates higher than 200. However, I want to see it at 480, just because if I saw this at 480, I might go, oh, you know what, I'm sold on 480.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, back in the day, I said, oh, I don't really care about high refresh. 60 hertz is fine. These days, I know the error of my ways. However, at the same time now, I'm just like, if I saw real 480 on a panel that's actually capable of doing 480 properly, I might turn around and be like, holy crap, it's real,
Yeah, absolutely. And the
hypothetically, it's too much work to do now. I was going to say, I was just thinking about how much effort it would be to drag the Lianli over here, because the Lianli has a 7800X3D in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that might be something to dick around with tomorrow if we can be asked. I'm deliberately not actually playing the game because this is Doom 2016 and I don't want to refamiliarize myself with it. So I'm just looking around this room where there's some bright things and some dark things and going, yeah.
But the overall brightness is entirely acceptable.
Absolutely.
Given you've got a studio like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on, just to re-simulate your home streaming setup.
Yeah, that's doing really well. I now have a I now have a key light shining in my eyes, and at home I run softboxes now, which greatly reduce the problem. But I used to run key lights at home, and it was actually extremely difficult to see dark areas of games with a key light shining into your eyes. However, now, same effect, key light directly into my eyes, and I'm not having issues seeing the dark areas of the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty good. Well, obviously it's much more pleasant with it off.
Yeah.
But
Which
on
I'm
principle,
now about to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, so
Yeah, I think just the fact of it does very much feel like a fast OLED. Obviously.
Yeah. If I do some shuddering there, my IPS screens would be smearing that, and I'm like, that's not smearing. I'm looking at these lights here on this door, and there's no smearing there. That's remarkable.
It almost looks slightly framey.
Yeah.
Because you can actually still basically see the vast majority of the frames.
Yeah, exactly that. We're not doing any, and obviously this, obviously not because it's OLED. I was about to say this isn't doing any kind of backlight strobing or anything like that either, because my monitors at home do backlight strobing in order to reduce the blurring.
Yes.
And backlight strobing has two major disadvantages: is that A, there is some flicker, but B, it massacres the brightness of the monitor.
Yeah.
Absolutely annihilates peak brightness. And obviously for this, we're attaining this with,
Technically, it doesn't actually change the brightness that much. But because it is changing your perception of how long it is bright for, you see that as darker.
Yes.
Because there is that huge difference between what is objectively real and what does it feel like.
Yeah. I was about to
kind of thing.
I was about to argue, and then I'm like, no.
Yeah. But also that thing of what is objectively real.
Because I was about to say, okay, but however, output over time, the amount of light output per minute per se is lower.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get into this because
but that's what I'm saying. However, it depends on what you're talking about.
The perceived brightness is lower.
Yeah, and you suddenly just go, oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Yeah. Do you want to play with that since you haven't yet? You're not allowed to do anything other than walk around this room, because otherwise
I was going to just quit and.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you hadn't actually tried it.
Yeah. And then I'm just trying to think of what I've got that's actually got HDR in it.
This is sanitized, this computer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Just double checking.
I don't have anything with HDR on it.
Okay. Well,
I think 3D Mark Nomad has HDR.
Yeah,
I
I was
don't
going
know
to
how
say,
good it is,
failing
but I'll
that,
see what it's like.
have you got Ori and the Blind Forest? You've played an Ori game, haven't you? Oh, okay. In that case, we could sign.
I had it on Game Pass.
Oh,
I've just
I see,
not
yeah.
set up Game
Yeah.
Pass or anything like this.
Yeah. Failing that, I kind of want to sign into my Steam account because like Ori is going to be a very quick download because it's a small game, and I'm kind of curious as to fire that up because that's a game that I know very well, so I know what it normally looks like, and also Ori is a very, very high contrast game, so that's the kind of one where you'll look at it and be like, holy crap, kind of thing, you know.
Okay.
Ori is 8 gigs, so it's done fast. Yeah. I tell you what, I'm going to get Ori downloading on the shop PC so we can copy files while you do this.
Yeah.
How are we doing for time? What's the
5.
stream time?
So an hour and 20.
Hour and a half. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
This should be HDR, but I don't actually know what's
Yeah.
HDR in the pipeline.
Yeah, cool. Okay. I'm also just conscious of what are we doing on this stream at the moment? Are we just playing with
Oh,
this
there we go.
monitor now? Which
That's somewhat HDR.
yeah, and I'd be okay with that. Oh yeah, those sparks are very bright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like kind of the sparks on there, and also just the actual range in the image, how
Yeah.
dark some bits are by comparison to other bits, is
Yeah.
also HDR. Isn't just massive brights.
Yes. However, that's something that is
Yeah,
immediately
the way
noticeable.
that like the eyes pick out.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is.
Yeah.
This isn't
What's
super.
this? What's this called again? I haven't seen this one.
Steel Nomad.
Steel
It's their
Nomad, yeah.
new bench for 24.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah. That's very pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, it also runs reasonably well.
Yeah. Yeah, we're sitting at about 65 FPS for that demo, just for reference. So yeah, but that was fairly cinematic, so 60 looked fine.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, actually, could you just start up that demo again? I was going to say I forgot to look at. Yeah, I was going to say we'll quickly look at what the power draw is while it's running that, because that would be an interesting test.
Oh
'cause
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Not that I'm expecting it to use an obnoxious amount of power. I think we've proven at the moment that 200 watts is there for safety kind of thing.
A little bit, yeah.
But
And
it would be
then-
curious to see if HDR content does actually massively blow out the power consumption. Just because that's something that I'm interested in. Right, I'm going to start Ori and the Will of the Wisps downloading on another PC over here. I will cap the download speed just so it doesn't tank the stream. However, if we start getting any kind of stutter, then do shout just so I can deal with that. Ori, I'll do Will of the Wisps because it's newer and looks prettier.
Yes, it also has a better HDR pipeline.
Right, hold on, because I've started to download, but I don't think we've got a download cap on at the moment, so there might be stutter. Downloads, limit download speed.
45 watts.
Oh, actually, a download speed should be fine. I'll limit it to 55.
Yeah, 30 watts now, as it's a darker scene. And then when the scene gets a bit lighter, it goes up to 40 watts.
Oh, yeah, that's about the same then, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not really meaningfully different. .5. Let's change that to 6. I think it can do it.
Very well.
There we go. Okay, right.
So yeah, so that went up to a high of 50, basically.
Yeah, oh, that's fine then, yeah. So yeah, that 200 watt power brick must be there just purely for if it's about to just blast out a full screen white blazing image, which is just not a real scenario. So yeah, 45 watts, that's lower than a normal screen. Yeah, I mean, my screens at home, I think, are about 40 watts, 35 to 40 watts a pop. So that's remarkably efficient, I think.
Yeah, the benefit you get is that obviously any pixel that's not running at peak brightness doesn't need the backlight at peak brightness. So you, in theory, if you're running an APL of less than 50%, you'll actually save a little bit of power.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. And so, I'm sort of, the only reason why I brought up the power consumption at all was just purely because when you said it was a 200 watt brick, I was like, oh, this thing doesn't suck back 200 watts, does it? Because, that would actually be terrible. And just people just don't normally talk about that kind of thing. But cool. I'm downloading Ori. That's going to be about 10 minutes. So Ori is not going to be a high FPS game. So what have we got that we can do that will give us 480?
I don't know. I was just going to see if this... I can't remember if Sins has an HDR pipeline, but it does certainly have very pretty ship models.
Okay, yeah.
Also,
plus it must be able to power the external USB devices. I would be surprised if that USB hub is powered, and that might seem really dumb. You might be like, what do you mean it's not powered? But a lot of monitor USB hubs are not powered hubs.
Because, displaying that, it's using 39 watts.
Yeah. Which is terrible. I think that's really dumb for the built-in hub not to be powered, considering the monitor would easily have the power available for it. But most of the time, monitor hubs are unpowered, especially if there's only 2 ports there. I would not expect that to be a thing. Still on a 240Hz TN panel. I mean, like, if it's a good TN, then that's fine. That's an esports monitor. So, yeah.
Damn it.
That's not bright, Caradog. That's the opposite of bright.
Yeah, it's because I haven't scouted it. There we go. Yeah, and even then, the power usage didn't go up very high.
Right.
But no, it did in HDR. That's fine. I couldn't remember.
Go scout it. Send something there. Get a scout ship and go there.
Give me.
That looks really smooth. What's our frame rate here right now?
I have no idea.
Do you not have shortcuts?
No, because this is a fresh install of Windows as well.
Oh, okay. How are you getting the stats for Doom then? All those built-in Doom stats. Oh wow, those. Yeah, I didn't realize Doom had that much detail.
Yeah, that's why I launched it. Because I was just like, oh, it's got stats.
Fair enough.
But yes. I'm going to.
This is Sins of a Solar Empire 2 pre-revenue.
I'm going to instantly quit out of that.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot to show in there.
Is Windows scaling an issue for things anymore? I don't think so, no. A lot of the time these days you can run basically whatever scale you want and things will look pretty damn good. A lot of laptops these days, like the 14-inch Dell laptops that I sell, I set them to 125% by default, which I think is a comfortable viewing size, and they look completely fine. Now and then you'll open like a really legacy app that doesn't support scaling and you'll know when it happens. But pretty much everything these days just seems to scale really nicely now. I rarely see issues with scaling.
Yeah, just because I'm going to type in your Wi-Fi password, do you want to swap cameras?
Yeah, sure thing. Right, we're on Facecam.
Oops.
That'll do. How does the text on hardware info look like? Hardware info scales, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, the old flying saucer. Right, so we're at 240 hertz at the moment because this is 4K.
Just full screen it. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very nice. So yeah, there's it's really amazing looking at this. This test always kind of blows my mind, but yeah, that 240 looks very nice. Man, I wish I had my home monitor next to this so we had that side-by-side comparison. I'm definitely going to bring one of my Asus's in tomorrow for a side-by-side comparison.
Yeah.
Not because my Asus is a particularly impressive monitor, but it's the gaming monitor that I'm used to. It's my point of comparison. Like, there's no point in me opening this test on any of the screens in here. Yeah, because
your monitor, my monitor.
all the screens in here are all 60 hertz, so there is no point in me opening it on any of these screens. But that 240 hertz one looks very, very nice.
Even at 120 pixels per second.
Yeah.
The difference between 60 and 240 is...
Oh, balls, we're not on...
Shocking.
Yeah. Oh, heck. Put it on to... Go
Yeah.
to the zoom mode again, because I forgot. Can you inspect which panel this monitor is running?
It is running whatever the LG Display's WOLED is. I can't remember what its model number is, but it's the only one they make.
I see.
It's 32-inch and
yeah.
240.
This
4K.
monitor exists purely for that panel to exist, basically.
This one and the Asus, yeah, and the Asus one. That's it, basically.
Mm.
But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that looks very nice. My one doesn't look that good. Yeah, my one probably. I would say my one probably looks fairly. No. However, hang on a minute. No, I can't look at that. I'm sorry. I was going to try and track that, but I'm like, no, my 38-year-old eyes cannot. Yeah, my Asus monitors at home are 165 hertz, and I would say they look like the 120 hertz Flying Saucer. You know, it's smooth, but there's visible blur on it. You know, whereas that 240 hertz looks almost perfect. There's a bit on there, but it's remarkably smooth. Now we go zoom, yeah. And the 480, yeah, you can make out the pupils of the eyes on the Alien at 480 hertz. So that's a very perceptible difference. I can't see the pupils on the eyes of the Alien in a meaningful way on the 240 hertz one.
Yeah.
So yeah, does this make you a better gamer? No, that's a skill issue. Is it more pleasant?
We'll find out tomorrow.
Is it more pleasant to look at? Yeah, I'd say. Is it worth $1,000? No. Well, sorry, no, that was unfair.
In isolation, 480 hertz, is it worth £1,000 more? No, absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly that. This doesn't make me go, everyone go and buy a 480 hertz monitor. No. I still contend that 165 is fine. That's enough to change your world versus 60 FPS. However, can I see the difference? Yes, I think I can. However, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I want to see, I want to see a game at 480 hertz. How are we doing on Ori? Because I want to see the HDR. We've got a minute remaining on that. Can we unplug your hard drive? Your SSD.
Yeah.
It's doing a blink at the moment.
Yeah, because it's powered on. Eject your green storage device. Just pull the power. Pull it.
Safe?
Do it.
Cool. What's that? That's not plugged into anything. Good.
What's that? That's not USB. That's an Ethernet port.
What's that coming over the hill?
This is a monster.
There's something in the air. What's that? What's that? It's getting everywhere.
It's getting everywhere.
I don't know how the song goes.
Oh, you'll need to sign into Steam.
I will. All right. Manage. Browse local files. Nice. Wow. Even on this old-ass board, this drive is pulling 500 to 600 megs per second. I didn't know this board could do that. Oh, I suppose it's probably a 5 gigabit Type C port, and yeah, 5 gigabit is going to do 500 to 600, isn't it? So yeah, that actually makes sense. Yeah, I've just never seen it pull that speed.
The highest disk activity I've seen is something like 2.4 gigabit in Steam when verifying files.
How much is this fancy enclosure?
£40.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not bad. Because, like, I'm a big fan of cheap enclosures, but for £40 for something that will go as fast as anything, you know, £40 for no speed limits kind of thing, that's pretty good. Right, I just dumped it in the. Oh yeah, I'll come around and log in. Yeah.
You need your mobile telephone.
Oh yeah, because I'll have to Steam Guard, won't I?
Yeah, and if you just scan the QR code, you won't have to type anything.
Ugh. Steam. I don't know why I've just gotten comfortable because I've got to get up and go and get a gamepad now because I'm not playing Ori without a gamepad. Huh.
Oh, I didn't chuck it in there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I thought I had my. I couldn't remember if I had my controller in there. It's like, it's worth checking.
Yes.
Did you? I presume you copied it into the existing.
It's in the root folder at the moment, so I'll need to move it about.
Okay.
Ooh, but that'll only take but a moment.
Butter moments.
Graham starting with the excuses. Okay, right.
Oh yes, Skull and Bones, the first quadruple A game, is now 60% off and £15.
At the risk of swearing on screen. Oh no! At the risk of swearing on screen, which I try not to do.
What are you?
How do I drag without fancy zones?
Shift.
Shift. Okay. I don't have that on by I don't have that on by default for this exact reason. Is that
What do you?
Sometimes I just want to put a window there. I don't want to fancy zones it. I don't want to snap it. I just want the window to be there.
So you press Shift.
See, what I do is I have it so while I'm dragging a window, holding right click and activates fancy zones because that makes logical sense. All right.
Absolutely not.
Where the hell
Why
is it?
are you on desktop overclocking when you want D games?
Shut. Right, X, Steam Library, Steam Apps, Common, Paste. Okay, right, and now...
Just double checking settings that the library is still the library.
Settings.
Storage. Yes, there is still D. Good.
Yes, good. All right. Ori and the Will of the Wisps install.
D.
The D is silent.
And then view, click on validating. And then look at the disk access. There you go, 3.1 gigabits per second.
Ludicrous speed. It's not downloading it, which is the important bit.
Yeah, but just a case of that enclosure over USB is still doing 3 gigabit.
Can you disassemble this enclosure, Graham? Is it Sabrent?
No, it's Ugreen.
Yeah, it's a Ugreen enclosure. What driver have you got in there?
Intel P660, I think. Yeah, I think I've got a P660 2TB in there.
Isn't that ancient?
Probably. It was my first 2TB drive.
Oh yeah. Oh okay. Yeah. So nothing special then. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because it's got my game drive out of the PC because it's the game drive that normally sits in the board in this PC. But because of the issues, I put it in the enclosure.
Neat. Oh cool. Oh wow.
Hello. Would you like some HDR?
But yeah. Oh, just the loading screen. Just Ori is just. Straight away, Ori is just like, he is white and glowing, just like, yeah, wow. Like, we haven't even loaded the game, and I'm like, okay, that's how this is going to be, huh?
So imagine this on a 55-inch TV with the lights off.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm turning off the lights. I got it. Yeah, I'm ready for this. I love the Ori games. I really love them. They are
it's a
beautiful
40
games.
gigabit USB 4 enclosure. I think you'll be quite pleased with that.
Should we turn off everything or?
I don't think you need to, because that way looking that way is dark.
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully this pulls in my cloud saves. Yes, it has. Awesome, because that means I've got a 100% game here, so I can just load it up and just start running around the world. Right. Let's just make sure we're actually in HDR. Like, it looked bright, but we might not even be on. HDR, yeah, HDR is on. Yeah.
So you're limited to 144 hertz.
Yeah, because that's what I run at home. So
yeah.
What will it
what
go
does it go up to? Off and then 200. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very well.
So I don't know if it's engine limited to 2. I don't know. Yeah, no. I'll just turn off the frame rate limit for now. Back. All right. Right.
God blimey.
Right. I'm going to immediately fast travel out of here because we're at just the end of the game here. Let's see. Where is a pretty Luma Pools? We're going to Luma Pools. And I tell you what, we'll... yeah, I was going to say, I wanted to go into Luma Pools so we could enter a bright and colourful location. However, there's not a fast travel near the entrance to Luma Pools, so we'll just go there. Flashbang. That's not a HDR flashbang. They're not that rude, but okay. Yeah, look at that.
That was 67 watts.
Yeah, look at how bright Ori is. He's just and the camera isn't picking this up very well, but yeah. Right, I've not played. There we go. Yeah, I've not played Ori for a couple of weeks, so I've forgotten all of the controls. Left bumper, I think, for grapple. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, you can see the highlight effects on there. Oh, I'm playing a different Metroidvania at the moment that has a completely different control scheme. So at the moment, I'm like, how do? God, that's blinding almost, that explosion. That's amazing. So yeah, this is an incredible experience for Ori. Like, this is how the game is supposed to look. Everything has just got that amazing highlight on it.
But also, if you go right into that opening again, look at how half the screen is off.
Oh yeah, just the right hand side of the screen. You can't even see the edge of the monitor there. Yeah.
But you have the brightest element on the display in black.
Yeah.
And that's why I enjoy OLED.
Yeah,
because of that per pixel brightness control, because of that lack of blooming.
Yeah.
Does it feel any different?
So in terms of gameplay, it doesn't feel any different. Yeah, like if we're getting any kind of higher frame rate that I'm used to, I'm not feeling it. But I don't think that because of the nature of this game, I don't think the game is fast enough for that to matter. So yeah, let me try going to another area. Wow, the map looks dark by comparison. Let's go to... where's another... Luma Pools is the most brightest and colourful location in the game. So I'm trying to think of other good examples. I'll go and take a wander around in Inkwater Marsh. There's a couple of nice water effect areas around here. Might be worth just boosting the camera response a little bit, just so we can, because What happens if you auto exposure? It will just not know what to do, will it?
Not really, but yeah.
We're not going to capture this in the stream. You guys can only just go on what I'm saying, I guess. But
that looks
look at
good.
that. Yeah.
That's an excellent demo.
Yeah, like everything is dark, yet Ori just glows in the dark.
Does Ori get brighter as you go through the game?
No, he always glows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, look at that. That's incredible. Yeah, I know another place we can go to in a minute. There's a snowy area where it's very bright, so that would be a good example. Where am I going? Yeah, I'll just run along here for a bit. I need to do some combat because, yeah, obviously Ori's attacks are bright and showy. Let's see. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Ooh, spike. Spike on B. That on X. Yeah. All right. Watch me sick pump this guy. Yeah. It's too fast a demo, but again, just the flashes on this are actually a lightning flash now. It's just you know, when Ori does
that's that God Ray.
Yeah.
That was good. Just the way that it highlights that little bit of path.
Yeah. Bang. Just, yeah, that's just a lightning flash. That is just thunder from Thor himself there. Kablamo. Dosh. Yeah, that I've never seen the game look like this before. It's not. I'm not going to say that the game looks bad on everything else, but this sells HDR to me. Like, this is a game that is designed to be in HDR.
Yeah.
Ah, oh, look at that. Just when we came out of that tunnel then. And just, bam, sun. And yeah, that's just like the sun. It's not blinding me, but immediately my eyes are adjusting to the fact that just suddenly we came out and into the sun kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's go to Boar's Reach. This fast travel point is in a cave, so hopefully we might get another reveal like that.
It's also just the way that points and so on.
Yeah, now Boar's Reach is kind of a maze. I know where I want to go, I'm just trying to remember how to get there. I need to go up. I need to go back there and to the left. Okay. Ow. My God. I need to figure out how to get back up this slope. Oh, of course, burst. Yeah. Man, it's not that long ago that I played this game, but I've just forgotten how to play it. All right, we're going up, and I need to go up again. Back to the fast travel point and go left. And we're going up again. Oh, ow, 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 ow. That's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm end game. I have all of the health, so
this is fine. This is fine. This is fine.
I absolutely would have perished if I was not end game there, but you can see the sun just peeping through the background there, and you just get those little blasts of light, and just those you don't notice that on an LCD. So yeah. And then here's one of the water effects.
Yeah, the changes in the colours and everything as well.
Just climb up through that waterfall. There's a couple of sections where you do that, and the water effects in this game are very pretty. There's a section in the early game where you pass through a waterfall like that, and it's in the early game when they're showing off, and they're like, look at what we've achieved since Blind Forest, you know, and it's just very, very good. And yeah, again, the sun isn't quite as bright as I expected it to be, just because it's sunset here, but still, it shows off a lighter section of the game.
It's also very good at showing the highlight on the trees in the background, on the very edges of the branches.
Yeah, and again, like we go into this cave and just half the screen is just off. Yeah, and like even the heads up display at the bottom of the screen, like the user interface just looks dark now, whereas normally that would be like full brightness kind of thing. So yeah, that is remarkable. This kind of thing sells me on HDR just again because this is a game that is designed for it. Flash, yeah. Let's try Moldwood Depths. This is the dark area of the game, and it's lighter now because I've resolved the area. But when you first go to Moldwood Depths, this is the dark area, where the darkness is actually a mechanic of the game. You have to stay in the light. The darkness literally kills you. So this is a very shadowy area. So because I've resolved this area, the light has been returned. So there is no like killer darkness anymore. But it's a good opportunity for me to use the flash ability, which is where Ori can just emit a circle of light around him. That doesn't have a tremendous difference here, yeah. If this was early game when we were still resolving this area, then that would be a problem.
I do love the just the design of Ori and the sort of 3 layers.
Yeah, the backgrounds and the foreground usage and also just Ori is a really good design because it's clever what they've done because Ori is always the brightest thing on the screen. It's very uncommon for you to lose track of where you are on the screen in this game because Ori is the brightest thing you can see. So yeah, this is a darker area, and if I hit flash again, yeah, again flash isn't really working here because yeah, in the stock game flash is literally a torch around you, but that only works before you resolve this area. We get a good effect from
just how bright that blue is in Sun as well.
Yeah, that blue is very, very blue. Yeah. Let's pull out. Where's the Spirit Smash? Yeah. Let's find something to hit with my big old hammer.
I must hammer you.
You're not going to come down here. You're a ranged attack. Okay, let's go somewhere else. I need to heal in a minute. I'm about to perish. Boff. Yeah, okay. That was just, yeah. Donk, you know. Ow. Okay. But yeah, okay. Yeah, well that's an Ori showcase. Yeah, that's remarkable. Again, just this is what the game wants to look like, and it doesn't look like this on my screen. Again, like it's also just the HDR effect, because this is a really good example as well, because that slug thing on the left that's firing at me, he's almost fading into darkness, whereas on my screen the light level would be normalized. Whereas at the moment the bright things are making the shadowy areas turn dark. But yeah, if we come down, you know, we're getting a good effect here. Let me just see if Flash going to give me that effect now. Not terribly. It's not a good example, no. But yeah. Yeah. Very pretty game, very good example of the tech. And yeah, just those immediate instant flashes of light. Yeah. I could sit and play Ori for days, but yeah.
Yes, I'm going to go. Pow!
All right.
I'll turn the shop lights on.
Yeah. Right, so that leaves us with the question, have we got a game where we can ramp it up to 480 hertz? Oh.
I don't know. That's the consideration.
Killing Floor would do 500 FPS on this piece. Not a 4. Oh, yeah, 1080p.
1080p,
yeah,
probably. But that's the thing I like about. That's part of the reason as well. I wonder if it's dual mode. It's just a fact of, obviously, it's a case of you have to be at 1080p.
I do like how quickly and how seamlessly it shifts. I think that's the advantage of it being on a button.
Yeah.
Because earlier on we were asking the question of like, why is this on a button kind of thing? It's like, well, actually it means that you don't have to go to your desktop, drill into your monitor settings and change your refresh rate. You push a button and it boosts the monitor to 480 Hertz at the cost of dropping to 1080p.
Yeah.
So yeah, that actually works quite well. So yeah, we're going to ramp up Killing Floor 2, which is an FPS. And this is a reasonably demanding game, but at 1080p we should be able to get to at least 400 FPS, I think.
Imagine so, yeah. Hello, Moeto. The Dave Bob.
Hello, welcome to us gushing about a very fancy monitor that we're looking at the moment. Wow, I just looked over at the screen where we're moving at like 60 Hertz, and I'm like, oh wow, that's low. That is very slow. So yeah.
Welcome to my world. Pow.
Yeah, I don't know if this content is interesting, but we, as usual, we never promise interesting content. So yeah. Can it do 1440p 360? I'm guessing it's limited to 240 at anything other than 1080p.
Yeah.
But also, like, you know, in Doom we were at effectively 200 FPS, and it was still impressive. Like, you could see the frame chop, but I would prefer that over frame smear, because when you see smeary frames like you would on an IPS panel, you feel like you're missing detail.
Yeah.
Whereas on this, at 200 FPS, when I was jiggling the mouse, you could see the chop, but also you knew that there was nothing missing in the details.
Yeah.
So yeah. When am I updating my playing rig? I've got no plans for upgrades to my PC in the near future, just because I can't afford it, basically. Although I'm still... No. Part of me still wants to keep the 7800X 3D I've got and sell my 5800X. And to be honest, that would be the sensible thing to do, because the 7800X 3D isn't going to sell. So I should just keep it and sell my 5800X, which will sell, because it will be cheap enough to sell. Screens, no. For screens, I don't know. I mean, I don't have $1,000 to drop on a monitor like this. However,
Not yet, but here's the link to my Patreon.
I want 1440p 200 Hertz, or like 1440p. I mean, to be honest, what are the current 1440p OLEDs? Are those 120 or 100?
They're 360 Hertz.
360, really?
The QD OLEDs are all 360 Hertz.
What's the going rate for one of those at the moment?
700.
When they get to 500.
Yeah.
When they get to 500, I'll buy it. Because it's not that I don't think they're worth the money, because that's subjective, but I can't afford to spend more than £500 on one monitor, just based on my lifestyle, you know.
Yes.
Imagine selling merch to your fans. That pays the bills, which I should probably sell merch and pay bills.
Yes.
But, yeah.
All of them. All of the bills.
The Alienware. Yeah, I don't think I'd...
Yeah.
I don't know what I would buy. I don't like Alienware as a brand, but I hear the Alienware monitors are very good.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's the,
That's kind of a fun game to play, actually, is if I were actually going to buy one, which one would I buy, you know? Like, forget the price for a minute kind of thing. Are we on... how can I tell which mode we're on at the moment? Maybe I'll press the play.
If you go left on it, does it give you info about the input? If you then go, like, up?
Oh, hold on. I want to go. I want outsies. How do I? Down, up, left, right. I have to select something here. That's kind of annoying. All right, display port.
I mean, based on the size of everything, you're at 1080p.
Yes, I can tell just from the resolution of the HUD that we're at 1080p. But yeah, there's no just what? Oh, settings. Yeah, that tells me where we're. Well, yeah, I don't know. DAS mode. What's DAS?
I don't know.
DAS. Yeah. Yeah, like I want to know what
one of them.
I'd like to know what mode it's in without having to push the button because that's going to change the mode. I guess I'll see what resolution that it will go to. Let's see, options, video. Yeah, so we're in 4K mode at the moment. So let's push the button. Push the button.
It's the big one with the big plastic lumps next to it, so you can easily find it with your finger.
Ah, I found one that was like, nope, that's the little back panel cover release. All right, dual mode activated. See, that's annoying. What is dual mode? Just tell me which mode it's in.
Yeah.
You know.
Activated.
I guess you'd remember. Oh, see, it's still offering me 4K. I'm assuming. Settings. Yeah, see, we're at 60 hertz at the moment. Custom
I see.
full
That's how
screen.
you get into the settings.
Yeah.
Go right.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, now it's on 480. Yeah. And then it changed? It's in variable. Okay.
Yeah, it's VRR.
Yeah, okay.
Go right.
What do you want me to select?
And then down dual mode.
Dual mode.
What does that say? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's
On
just the
full
sizing. Because if you change it, you can then make it effectively 24.
Oh, that's interesting. So, oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, now we can see the box. So yeah, if you're running in 1080p mode, and the how do I exit? There we go. If you're running in 1080p mode and the pixel density, are we on? Yeah, show us the thing. All right, so we're in 24-inch mode now. And so if you're running in 24-inch mode and the pixel density is really offensive to you, you can put it in 24-inch mode or 27-inch mode, which makes the picture smaller, thus increasing the pixel density, which makes the lack of pixel density at 32 inches less offensive. So yeah. All right, play solo offline. Steam Fortress, because it's nice and bright. Does, no, Killing Floor won't have HDR, will it?
No, it's far too old.
Yeah. This game is older than anyone realises. No, I don't want to save changes. Solo, play solo offline. Steam Fortress, Endless will do, launch game. So, let's see. Does Killing Floor have any overlay modes? I don't think it does it?
I think you can, no, but you can obviously use the Steam one, just for actual FPS.
Let's see, Steam settings, in-game FPS counter. There we go, put that in the top left.
And then make it a high contrast colour.
Yeah.
And that might mean it's actually visible.
Yeah, there we go, okay. Right, we are at 60 FPS in the menu. Yes. All right. We're at 60 FPS at the moment, so I'm not sure what's wrong there.
Go options and then video, and then
yeah, that's fine. Right, options, video,
and then tick the box for variable frame rate.
Okay.
And then go apply.
Oh yeah, there we go. All right, now we're unlimited. So, so we're currently at 380 FPS. I'm going to bring the details down a little bit just to see if we can get to that 480 kind of thing.
Oh, you have INI overrides.
I don't know what that means.
I see. Set graphics quality and just go low.
What does INI mean?
As in config files. INIs are config
Oh, I
files.
see, yeah.
Just set graphics quality and then go low on the left.
Yeah. Oh, graphics quality. Oh, let's go medium. I don't want to go low. Oh, we're restarting the game for that. I was going to say, I do have... Oh, this isn't my computer, so I don't know why I thought it would be. Yeah. because we were on my Steam profile, I thought it was my computer, and I was very confused.
Shh. My computer, what is going on here?
Yeah. Well, that INI file will be you, because this is your install of Killing Floor.
Perhaps. Some sync from somewhere. Who knows?
All right.
Crimes.
By the way, if I suck at this, it's because I'm most of the bottle deep into this cider now. So.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
Yep.
Nothing else.
I'm going to take this opportunity to mock my friends who all complain that Killing Floor takes ages to load, and I'm like, skill issue. So,
it does take forever to load for what it is.
Yeah, it's not terrible though if you've got like a good computer.
Yeah.
Dun, dun. Also, one of my friends is just like, the Killing Floor main menu music sounds like Electric Avenue. It goes dun 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 dun, dun. And once you've heard it, you can never unhear it. That's just a random thing. All right. Right, we are at 400 FPS. There we go, that'll do. That's close enough. That's not 480, but that's high enough that we're getting the 400 FPS experience now. I'm also just going to make it big. Settings, because like even though the
game dual mode
full
one.
Yeah, even though the pixel density sucks, I will accept that for the experiment that we're running. So yeah, the brightness isn't very impressive at the moment. Is that just because I was used to, we're under studio lights, and I was used to what's it called? Yeah, I was used to HDR then, just then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. See, it. Oh no! Controller vibration. Hold on.
Control your vibration.
Oh god, you don't have toggle run mode, you monster. Caradog, what? Caradog, stop. Caradog, stop it. I'm gonna rip that cable out myself in a minute. Don't take it out of the back of the controller though, because it's really hard to put that in. Right, okay. I'm trying to demolish a bunch of these Zeds so I can actually. He thinks he's hilarious.
I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, but you're thinking about it. All right. Okay, right. So now there are 2 zombies left. I will actually test. Okay, so here's the weird thing. When I'm on my IPS monitors at home, I can stop grabbing me. Don't grab me, bro. When I'm on my IPS monitors at home, I can kind of tell when I'm at high refresh rate because I actually get a little bit of smearing because of the high refresh rate. And when I can see the individual frames, that's how I know that I'm at lower refresh rate because I can see the frames. Whereas on this, when I shake, I can see the individual frames, but they're really fast. So this is kind of weird, and I don't know how to describe it. But it's not changing my world.
Stab! Stab!
Stab that man. And yeah.
2 people play 1 game.
I'll heal. Caradog, please stop. See, now that's smearing, yeah. Right, Caradog, please. Right. I don't even need to go to the trader on wave 1. I'm going to skip trader. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do, hold on. I'm going to hot swap to 4K. Right. Options, video, 4K, apply, OK. Oh, weird. We're still holding. Okay, so we're getting 450 FPS now, apparently. What's with that?
Fabulous.
Oh, well. However, obviously now now the monitor, I'm going to desperately run away from crawlers. No! So we're now at 240 hertz. So now we're at 240 hertz, and I can see the difference if I shake the mouse, but gameplay feels exactly the same. Now this, I think, is the interesting... This is the test that I wanted, is I can see the difference if I actually do if I pixel peep, but gameplay, I'm like, 240 is fine, man. So, like, for me, if I owned this monitor, I'd be like, no, of course I'm running it at 4K. Why would I run at 1080p when I could be running at 4K, you know? So the 480p, what I'm trying to say is the 480p test is a bust as far as I'm concerned. I would be quite happy with 240 hertz. And if you got a 240 hertz OLED, you would basically get the same experience. Caradog's behind me judging my aim right now. However, I'm trying to provide commentary, so shut up. 20% down in views. Yeah. Hang on a second. Caradog, stop. What's your bash button, Caradog?
I don't know, whatever the default is.
You monster. So, the 480 hertz thing, not that fussed. Not that fussed at all. If I pixel peep, I can see it. But playing the game, wow, what's with that texture up there? What is that potato texture on that clock? Can we talk about this for a moment? Okay. So, yeah, okay. 240 hertz is fine, basically. The 480 hertz, I'm not impressed. I can see it if I pixel peep, but in-game I don't care. Mainly because I have to tank it to 1080p to get that fast. If I was a pro sports e-gamer, that's I'm not going to correct, then I would probably care. However, I'm not a pro esports gamer, and neither are you watching this video. Let's be real here. Whenever kids come in, they're like, I want a 500 hertz monitor. I'm like, you don't need a 500 hertz monitor. So, yeah. So I would say, while it's... Having you just standing there is really off-putting. Just saying. Please stop. Also, it's wave 3 and I didn't buy a new gun, so this is problems.
Time to get good.
So yeah, the TLDR is I don't really care about the high speed. I would absolutely say buy a 240 hertz monitor. I guess the fact that it has it is interesting because at the end of the day, I don't think you're buying this monitor for the dual. I mean, what are the options for 4K OLEDs?
I think they're all 240 hertz.
Yeah. And could I buy a 240 hertz 4K OLED for less than this?
Maybe like 900?
900. So, yeah.
Maybe.
It's a bit less than, you know, £100 is nothing to sniff at, but if you're spending nearly £1,000 on a monitor, what's another £100? Yeah, I don't care about dual mode is what I'm saying. 480 hertz is not changing my world. It's the fact that it's OLED is what actually makes the difference, and you get the same effect from 240 hertz.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, if this was an IPS panel at 240 hertz, it would be a smeary mess. I do not believe for a second that there is an IPS panel that is capable of a real 240 hertz. It will smear. Even with backlight, or failing that, the backlight strobing is going to massacre the brightness down to such a point that you couldn't possibly play it under these settings. The brightness of the monitor is not changing my world, but also this is non-HDR and I'm under studio lighting, which is not a fight that you win.
Yeah, it certainly makes it fine.
So, yeah.
Shotgun, always shotgun.
No, shotguns are bad.
Always shotgun.
If you want to
Only
play
shotgun.
if you want to play shotgun, then play support.
Only shotgun.
I mean, that much being said, I'm playing medic with support perks on, so I don't know why we're getting competitive about this.
The medic shotgun is the best shotgun.
Okay, let's come back to chat because I've been waffling. Right, the vibes were checked. Kara aimbot, yeah. Graham would be a strong candidate for strong XTC. What does this mean? CPU versus GPU bull, high resolution. Yeah, we'd have to get the stats up to find out why we got the same frame rate. I think we were probably getting. Hang on a sec. I'll go back to high speed and see if we're still getting 480. Because what might have been happening there is when we went to. Yeah, we're still in the mid 400s here. No, we've dropped. We're probably bouncing off a CPU limiter here, and that's causing the CPU to bounce and oscillate. There's a thing when in gaming when you're going between bottlenecks. If you hit, say, a CPU bottleneck, it causes the frame rate to oscillate, where you're bouncing off the rev limiter. Whereas, and this is why you always want to set a frame rate limiter. I always run with a frame rate limiter on, because if you run a frame rate limiter of a frame rate that you can actually sustain, you will have a more stable frame rate. So, for example, this is bouncing between 380 and 450. So if I were playing this setup, I would set a target of 350, because that's a frame rate that I can reliably hit at all times, so it won't bounce around. Variable frame rate is kind of bollocks in my opinion. I don't believe in variable frame rate. It stops tearing, but if your frame rate is swinging that wildly, you've got an unstable frame rate, which means you should just set a lower frame rate limiter of what you can actually sustain. That's my opinion. In this instance, at 4K, we become GPU bound, so the CPU is bouncing off the limiter anymore. So yeah. 1,600 Canadian dollars for that monitor. Sounds about right. Yeah. Alienware have a 25-inch full H or 25-inch 1080p 500 Hz IPS. See, I think that's going to smear. I don't think that will be a good user experience.
As far as I'm aware on that, the frame-to-frame latency on that is no real improvement over the 360 Hz QD OLEDs. And the benefit is you only need to be able to run 360 Hz.
Yeah.
Not 500.
Yeah.
So it's just a case of, I do think that 240 Hz is realistically the highest really for most people.
Yeah.
As long as it's on an OLED basically, or equivalent, equivalently actually fast display.
Yeah. Is G-Sync still a real thing? Yeah, yes. Absolutely. This monitor is G-Sync certified. However, most monitors are. What's the AMD one again?
A lot of. So there's
FreeSync.
Yes, yeah. There is. More with that. There is something called G-Sync compatible.
Yeah.
And then there is actually having a G-Sync module, and basically nothing has a G-Sync module anymore.
Yeah.
Just because the G-Sync module restricts too many things.
Yeah, basically everyone just goes FreeSync, and FreeSync achieves the same deal. It is variable refresh rate, and that stops tearing when you are running an uncapped frame rate that is swinging a bit.
Well, it also just avoids it being an issue when your frame rate is not the same as your refresh rate.
I suppose, yeah.
Because that's when you get screen tearing. It doesn't matter what FPS you're at. It's if it is different to the monitor's refresh rate.
Theoretically, it can tear.
Well, no, it will. because it will be rendering one frame and then another frame at a different point to when the screen is doing a full refresh.
True. It's usually not, and apart from extreme cases, it's often not perceptible in my opinion. I don't run variable refresh rate, but then on the other hand, I run a locked off frame rate where I have I set in the NVIDIA control panel, I set a global frame rate limiter of 144 FPS, and I run my monitors at 144 hertz. So, and in any game, I'm either running 60 or 144. So that's how I achieve a stable frame rate that makes sure that I'm always getting rock solid 144. And if I can't achieve 144, I'll just drop to 60. Because I will take a knockdown to 60, because if I can't achieve 144, it probably means it's a very graphically intensive game. And in that instance, I'll take the knockdown to 60 because it's probably going to be a more cinematic experience anyway. For example, well, this isn't a great example, but as an example, Elden Ring is a very cinematic game and is locked to 60 hertz. So I don't mind being locked to 60 frames a second in Elden Ring because it's a very cinematic game. Whereas anything that I can run at high refresh, I will just run a locked off 144 because that's reliable. My monitors are 165, but I've found that pushing past 140, that's when you start hitting GPU bottlenecks when you're running high graphics settings. So I actually underrun my monitors at 144 because I can hit that more reliably.
Yeah. The benefit, the sort of ease of use configuration benefit VRR would give you is that you could just run the games at arbitrary frame rates. You could just run them at 120 and have your monitors in VRR and it'd just be 120 hertz refresh.
Yeah. I think the reason...
With a frame rate cap of 120.
I've just remembered the other reason why I don't run variable is... the backlight strobing on my monitor isn't compatible with variable refresh rate. That's why I don't run variable.
Yeah, your ELMB is fixed refresh rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realise you ran ELMB at all.
Yeah. I have to because otherwise, because IPS without backlight strobing turns into a smeary mess.
Yeah.
And I would bet money that any monitor you pick off the list, like that 500 hertz IPS, you will need backlight strobing for that to not be a mess.
Yeah, the refresh compliance is an awful lot better now than it ever used to be.
I suppose. I mean, my monitors are probably 5 years old.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's easy to forget that technology marches on and my information might be out of date.
The easiest way to look at that change in refresh compliance is just to look at like the cumulative deviation figures that Monitors Unbox do as a part of their monitor reviews.
Yeah.
Because that shows you a globalized number for amount of overshoot, amount of undershoot, whether the refresh was too slow.
Yeah.
So it gives you kind of a number to tell you whether it was doing what it should or not.
Yeah. Yeah, SLD is saying the tearing that was supposed to diminish with VRR gets replaced with weird analog stripes. I just use VSync now. I mean, VSync isn't as horrendous as it used to be either because we now have more intelligent VSync that isn't quite as awful as just dumping every frame up to that point kind of thing. I don't know the technical details of how it works, but just VSync is not quite as awful as it used to be. Especially just because VSync of days of old would typically just cap you down to 30 FPS, which is where it got a bad rep. Whereas these days you can run VSync and it will just basically lock out to the refresh rate of your monitor instead, which is actually desirable in my opinion.
Well, yeah, that's what VSync is.
Yeah, VSync. I used to always run VSync turned on because it basically caps to your monitor refresh rate, but then I discovered that in NVIDIA control panel you can run a global frame rate limiter, which I found is a better choice because when you run VSync in-game, that often only applies to in-game, whereas loading screens and menu screens, it may not be applying the game settings. So you end up in a situation where you go into a loading screen and suddenly your GPU goes wah up to 100% because it tries to load it tries to render the loading screen at 1000 FPS. Whereas when you run a global frame rate limiter in the NVIDIA control panel instead, or the AMD equivalent, because you're running a global frame rate limiter, the loading screens are also limited to whatever you set your limiter to. So it just means that your GPU will never try to push past what the monitor is actually displaying.
Yeah,
and
just Radeon chill.
Yeah, and like LTT did a really interesting video series where they looked into whether it was worth running high refresh rate. And one of the things they noticed is that the reason why you might want to push past what your monitor can display is because it means that when your monitor does refresh, it gets the most up-to-date frame possible. And in an esports situation, that will be relevant. However, as I said earlier, I'm not a professional esports gamer, and neither are you.
Gamer.
And by a professional esports gamer, I mean you're actually on an esports team going to CSS tournaments. That's what I'm classifying as a professional esports gamer here. That's the top 1%. Those
it could be Valorant.
Those are the people to whom this stuff matters.
Yeah.
If you're not one of those people, no, I don't care. It's a skill issue. That is my opinion. But yeah. Anyway, unlimited FPS in loading screens causes some GPUs to burn out. I don't know about that, but it is very vexing when you hit a loading screen and suddenly your GPU temperature goes, ah! And also, it can cause other weird artifacts. Like, for me, because I stream games on Twitch, I could hit a loading screen and my GPU suddenly bangs onto the rev limiter, and that causes the OBS stream encoder to throw a wobbly because the GPU maxed out for a moment and started dropping frames on the encoder. So it causes instability issues, which if you're not streaming and stuff, it's probably fine because you don't care if you get frame drops on a loading screen. But if you're streaming or just in general, it's causing instability, which is not something that you want. So yeah. There were 3080s getting killed by a game. You're thinking of the 3090 or the 3090 Ti, which was having trouble with that Amazon game? What was it called?
There was a couple of 3080s and a couple of 3090s that had issues. And basically the outcome was NVIDIA did a really bad job enforcing power limits.
Yeah.
And made reference designs with really crappy power delivery.
Yeah, it wasn't the game. It wasn't the game's fault. The game was just utilizing the GPU really well. Yeah. But the problem is certain drivers and certain graphics cards, when the GPU actually was getting fully utilized, fully leveraged, it was just blowing past power limits. So it was not the fault. The game didn't kill the card. The card was just not expecting something to actually max it out in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
New world, yeah. New GPU. So yeah. That's what that was all about. Yeah, but then New World fell over because they balked their in-game economy, apparently. I've no idea what happened to it.
Oh, I see. That's unfortunate. What did they do? Did they say to earn 1,500 gold this week, you must pay us $4?
No, they just. I think they suffered. Hyperinflation, and some inflation is desirable in an MMO economy because it pushes down the barrier of entry to new players, which keeps the game accessible. So new players don't come in and suddenly find that the modest amount of money they start with is worthless, kind of thing. However, New World suffered hyperinflation, which just meant that it didn't make sense for anyone to sell anything at all, which completely broke the economy. But I don't know the details. There's probably a video essay out there somewhere by someone who actually understands economics that can explain it better.
Yeah.
So yeah. The game was essentially power virusing the GPU, and cards didn't have the proper protections. Yeah. Effectively, yeah. You can reproduce, like, Buildzoid did a really interesting breakdown of this because he did a repair job on a 1390 that had been killed by New World. And he did some really interesting observations where he said, look, I can reproduce this fault with superposition 4K Ultra, where and he would start up superposition, or no, I think he was running superposition in like 8K.
Yeah, the 8K mode, just because the frame
superposition 8K, and it was running at like 10 FPS, but the card was just blowing past power limits, and he was just like, I'm going to stop this now because it's going to kill the card.
Yeah,
you know.
It was also the way the power limit was the power usage was pulsing, and you were seeing that in the oscilloscope with the completion of the frame, and it was something, and I can't remember. There was also something just to do with the frame rate, and because of the low frame rate and the high load, it was also causing separate issues to do with the power limit as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like 3 years ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah. As a side note, because we're just discussing these kind of things, I made a very interesting observation this month. Recently I've been playing Satisfactory, which is an interesting game to do sort of graphical testing on, because Satisfactory is a fairly graphically intensive game, and usually I would be running at high refresh, but because Satisfactory is a game that I play for long periods of time at high graphics, and because I'm just running around building, it's a factory building game, I don't need it to be at high refresh rate. So what I was actually doing was I was actually frame rate limiting it to 60 FPS, just so my graphics card could sit at 100 watts instead of 300 watts. Because, you know, if I'm going to, like, on a Sunday afternoon, I was playing this game for like 8 hours on a Sunday, and running your graphics card running your graphics card at 100 watts instead of 300 watts for 8 hours actually saves me pounds. So yeah. But one of the interesting things was I was doing some experiments with running it with DLSS on or off.
Oh yes.
And running DLSS at 100% scaling, so I'm not scaling it up, turning off DLSS and running it at 1440p native used less power than DLSS 100%.
Yes.
The DLSS engine doing nothing consumed more power, which I thought was interesting.
Yes, since it's using the tensor cores for anti-aliasing instead.
Yeah.
Of the of the vertex shaders. Yeah,
and in addition to that, the graphics quality went up from DLSS 100% to just native gameplay. The graphics quality went up. So what I learned there was DLSS consumes more electricity, and if you're running at 100% scaling because you don't need the extra frames, it's actually just worse. So it's not worth turning on DLSS unless you're actually needing to get a higher frame rate than what you're achieving. And so make of that what you will. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
Unless the game is specifically configured with DLAA is the actual mode. Just because that will completely replace a lot of the anti-aliasing pipeline, and the deep learning anti-aliasing is generally better than TAA and things like that, just because it's more temporally stable.
Yeah.
So
in terms of the anti-aliasing, I couldn't see the difference.
Yeah. But yeah, it is a generalization. If you've got the actual DLAA mode, you'll have slightly less of the temporal smearing and smudging that TAA gives.
Yeah. I didn't get that. I think Satisfactory is a bad example for that, because Satisfactory has weird things in it that cause things to smear in the most hilarious way.
Oh yeah.
Because of the way the game works.
It has. Also, it's just got a very large problem with obviously render distance and frame rate and so on.
Yeah.
For that, just because there are so many individual animations and so many interactable objects.
Yeah.
That you have to do a lot to control that.
Yeah. Firephone says, did I encounter any Intel CPU problems? No. I did have a 13900K in recently, and I did do the BIOS update on there, but to my knowledge it was not exhibiting any problems, and apparently the European Intel CPUs are all made in the Ireland fab, which did not have any meaningful problems. So theoretically, because UK Europe based, apparently I should not expect to see any Intel issues. So this basically doesn't affect me in any meaningful way. However, I do a BIOS update on gaming rigs that come in just because it's good to be running the latest BIOS.
Yeah, and it's going to be a case as well of it's going to be important to do that on basically anything 13th and 14th Jan.
Yeah.
Including the laptops.
The only thing of note with this PC that I was working on, I mentioned it in the Discord, but the customer had bought 2 32 gig kits of RAM and was trying to run them at 7200, and I was like, no. I managed to get them up to 5800, but that was as much as I could manage.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That is pretty awful.
Yeah, I was a bit sad. I kind of wanted to get them up to 6000 because that's a nice round number. But yeah, I guess if I'd done a lot of tinkering with timings, that would have been possible. But
possibly, yeah.
I do not have the knowledge. I do not have the knowledge to fine-tune timings to that degree, and I wouldn't want to run custom timings on a customer's computer anyway because it's too difficult to reproduce.
Yeah.
Because at some point that customer is going to be like, so I reset my BIOS, and I'm like, that just nuked all of the custom BIOS settings. Thank you. Whereas if you run it at XMP 5800, you can just say, cool, go into BIOS, turn on XMP, set it to 5800, it will work.
Yeah.
So yeah. Bill's always saying DDR5 boards with 4 RAM slots is a crime.
Basically.
Yeah. See, I'm in two minds about this. I agree because 4 modules is terrible and just is not viable. But also, if someone turns around and says, I want lots of RAM because I'm going to do LLMs or something, they're gonna need those 4 slots to get the high RAM capacity, right?
Then they get to pay an AI tax.
I suppose,
Of buying Threadripper.
2 slots can still be 96 gigs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, basically all the consumer boards should only have 2.
JD correct that it's not related to overvoltage, aka going to 1.66. Ugh. These ones were running at 1.4.
All of the vid requests go up to 1.75. So, in theory, you can have quote unquote in spec with 1.75 vid requests.
I'm gurning here. I'm going. That's terrible, man.
Because yes, Intel's reliance on voltage tables and so on intrigues me in this era of floating boost on everything else.
Imagine running Intel in 2024. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to say anything on that specifically, but yeah, just the vid table lookups.
Very well. I'm running 4x8 3200. Yeah. 3200, that's very attainable for DDR4. I think if you started pushing into 34, 3600, you would start having problems. I think that's where you'd run into the, oh wow, now I understand the problem kind of thing. But yeah, 4 DIMMs are for Threadripper when you have 8 slots, I guess.
Basically, 1 DIMM per channel is the answer at the speeds that everyone is looking for.
Yeah. All right. AMD has its own issues. Like what? Just out of interest. And I don't mean that in a confrontational way. I'm just curious. Because AMD seem to be cruising at the moment. They had issues when the 7000 series came out, but that seemed to get resolved. But obviously, we can assume that Intel's issues will also get resolved.
Also, the issues of the 9000 series.
That's just it. AMD had
Milk toast.
Yeah, AMD or AMD motherboards had issues with blowing up CPUs. However, also though that was an issue, on their best day they're fine, whereas Intel on their best day is sucking back 350 watts. So,
Yeah.
which is a problem because you've got to be able to cool that. AMD is still fussy with memory. To an extent, yeah.
I mean,
At the
slightly, but also just the fact of Intel only supports DDR5 3800 if you've got 4 DIMM slots.
Yeah.
So it's just like...
Yeah, just having issues with RAM compatibility. I would agree with that. I think this is just DDR5 teething issues. Both teams are having issues with that at the moment. So yeah, when we mock Intel, that's not to say that AMD is a walk in the park. You know, if this customer had come in with a 7800 and wanted to run four 16 gig sticks at 7200, I'd have laughed at him for that as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
basically, someone coming into your shop and wanting to run faster than DDR5 6000 is laughable.
6000 is the sweet spot. 6000 is very attainable. Above 6000, you're going to start having problems, and you're going to have to know. You're going to have a good motherboard and not a crap CPU and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's certainly not something that you'd recommend to someone. It's just a case of buy this and it will basically always work.
Yeah.
Which is, kind of what you want to be able to do for recommendations, is a case of if you use this, it will 99 times out of 100 work absolutely fine. Obviously, you'll get someone who's the unlucky 1 out of 100, but yeah.
Yeah. Pre-revenue said, I steered someone away from 6400 to 6000 this week. Yeah. It's worth noting that, remember, you can always buy higher speed memory and underrun it. However, if you're paying well over the odds for that higher speed memory, then that's probably a bad idea. But again, let's say that 6400 RAM cost basically the same as the 6000 and had basically the same timings. It would still be completely acceptable to buy the 6400 and know that you could underrun that at 6000 and not have any issues with it. However, if that 6400 is running hilariously terrible timings in order to get to 6400, then you buy the 6000 that has better timings.
Yeah, you want, basically 6028 to 6032, as JD says.
6400 CL32 versus 6000 CL30. Yeah. I don't know the details of how much that's going to count, especially not without looking at other timings. But
also the fact of if you're going to run it at 6000 and the 6000 kit has a tighter XMP or Expo, it's better to run it at that because it will have tighter timings in the end.
Yeah. Marcel says, I'm running DDR5 32 gigs, kit of 2, 6000 at CL40. 40, that's, you should be able to, you should be able to do better than 40. I would expect better than that if I'm honest. I think, as JD said, 28 to 32 is where you want to be. However, sort of 32 to 34 is where I would say is acceptable. So 40 is definitely high.
Yeah.
You're probably losing speed there. That's the kind of area where you might want to consider running 5836 or something like that. But on the other hand, of course, this all comes down to the fact of if you're hitting the speeds that you want to hit, then it doesn't matter. If you're running the games at the speeds that you want to run them at, it doesn't matter. This only matters if you're actually trying to hit breakneck speeds, We got 6200 CL32 in your friend's 7800X3D. That's fast, yeah.
There is 0 memory, apparently. Oh, because you have a PC build saved on PC Part Picker. That confused the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, okay.
I was just like, what?
I thought you were about to attack me for that. I'm like, how dare I have used PC Part Picker on this computer in the past?
No. It was just the fact that I was just like, what do you mean there are 0 RAM kits in existence in the UK market? What exactly are you on about here?
Oh, also, this computer has done something very weird. I can't move the mouse past halfway across the screen.
Oh, it's probably the resolution.
Yeah, the Windows
Because
resolution is 1080p.
where the desktop resolution is different to the game resolution.
Yeah.
There you go.
Whack.
Oh my!
Oh god, why are there 8GB DDR5 modules? Why do those exist? On their own, at least. Oh well.
But yeah, DDR5 6000 CL30 56 quid for a 2x8 kit.
Yeah.
So 16 gigs of RAM at half decent speed for 56 quid.
Yeah, that's attainable. I mean, you go for a 32 gig kit these days because of future-proofing, I guess.
What's 2x16 take you up to?
We're in that
2
weird...
by 16. Yeah, it's another 40 quid.
We're in that weird stage at the moment
Which
where
is
16,
good value.
16 gigs is still fine, but it's not difficult to push past 16 gigs of usage. Better to have a single 16 gig kit than 2 8 gigs. I guess, because then you can add another 16, but at that point, just save for another week and buy a 32 gig kit.
Oh,
hello, Def Gamer.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Better to have a... Yeah. Intel's CPU problems are the same as the AMD graphics card problems. Humidity. What?
No,
they're an issue because the voltages are completely whack, and they had manufacturing issues in at least one of their fabs.
Yeah, although I think the misconception there is what was happening to the vias again? Was it rust or corrosion?
Apparently there was some oxidation.
Oxidation, yeah. So I guess people are interpreting that as moisture got into the CPU during manufacturing or something like that. But I don't think that's how that works. So, yeah.
Intel's problems are also the fact of all of their voltages have been completely whack for 13th and 14th gen.
Yeah.
And yeah. I was taking a long time to process the words that you were saying, JD. I entirely, yes, and it's all because of the bank groups.
Oh, I see.
Because of the way the bank groups work, you want a single 16 gig
of course,
module.
because
That's why I'm saying that lower than 32 gig kits, when you're getting 2 modules, are crap. It's the bank groups.
Yeah, because also like DDR5 runs dual channel to a single stick anyway, doesn't it?
No, it runs twice the number of bank groups. Because it's still only 2 channels in the memory controller. And the memory controller detects how many channels there are.
Okay, yeah, fair.
However, there are, yes, twice the number of bits of address.
Yes.
And therefore you can make 2 requests at the same time. However, it is not 2 channel because the channels are set by the controller.
I understand. I hate it, but yeah, it's fine. Okay, right. I think we're hitting the 3-hour marker, and I think I've enjoyed this conversation in English.
Excellent. Okay, very well.
Unless anyone else has anything else to remark on. I feel like we've hit to the end of the conversation anyway.
Very well.
So yes. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope us looking at a monitor and going, oh, it's really good, mate, was kind of interesting. I kind of wanted to give an opinion, just, yeah. However, we didn't talk about the tech setup. We'll figure that out tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, we'll work that out in a minute anyway.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, Caradog and I will be live tomorrow. We're going to have a Doom race. We're planning on dual streaming it, so it will go to the YouTube, it will go to Adamant IT2 as well as my Twitch channel. However, just in case there are problems, I just tried to move this mouse and this keyboard. Yeah, just in case there are problems, it will definitely be on Twitch. So yeah, definitely be on Twitch, and if we get the dual stream set up working, we'll bash it out to the YouTube as well. And yeah, we're going to have a race through Doom 2016 and see who can get further in 4-ish hours.
Basically,
so, yeah.
Yes. And we both have saves that are significantly progressed.
I assumed we were going to start new games.
Oh, you suggested doing ones that were 100%ed.
Did I?
Yes. Very well.
I think we should start a new save.
Very well. We'll be starting a new one.
We're going to start a new save. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. All right, thanks everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow somewhere, either on Twitch and or YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. See you now. Goodbye. Bye.
Ciao.